Chapter 3655. 20,000 points. In the Hidden Fog Academy's 10-star trial, this score was a hurdle. In the past, the 5 strongest 10-star students had all crossed this hurdle. To cross this hurdle, one needed to rely not only on strength, but also on luck. If one was lucky and encountered a lot of monsters frequently, they would be able to cross this hurdle. In the last 10-star trial, no one had crossed this hurdle. The highest score was more than 19,000 points, and he was ranked first in the 10-star trial, breaking through 20,000 points. If this was in the past, you would definitely be first place. Ding Yan sighed after learning about his score from Ho Qingming. You said it was in the past. Ho Qingming could not help but smile bitterly. Then he looked at Duan Lingtian and said with a complicated look in his eyes, to be able to make Mr. Yu Qianshan show such an expression after seeing his token, it means that his points have reached a level that surprised Mr. Yu Qianshan. And to be able to surprise Mr. Yu Qianshan, it means that his points are not as simple as 20,000 points. I'm really curious. How many points did this guy get? Ho Qingming stared at Duan Lingtian and raised his voice as he spoke, as if he was hinting at something to Duan Lingtian. However, Duan Lingtian did not seem to hear him. Seeing this, Ho Qingming completely gave up. When Ding Yan heard Ho Qingming's words, he could not help but look at Duan Lingtian with curiosity and anticipation in his eyes. And now, they were not the only ones who were curious. Even the other people present, including Zhu Chun and the other 2 teachers, were curious. The group of students could not help but use their imaginations and speculate. How many points do you think Duan Lingtian got to make Mr. Yu Qianshan lose his composure? I remember that 10 years ago, when Hong Jun got more than 24,000 points, Mr. Yu Qianshan did not lose his composure like this, right? Do you think Duan Lingtian has 30,000 points? There should be. After all, Duan Lingtian's strength is publicly acknowledged. Even Hong Jun was only able to fight him to a draw when he didn't use his divine artifact. Under the guesses of the 10-star students, Yu Qianshan led everyone back to Tianfeng City and the Hidden Fog Academy. Tomorrow morning, the 10-star ranking list will be revealed. At that time, we will know how many points Duan Lingtian has obtained. Let's wait for tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Why don't someone ask Duan Lingtian? It's hopeless. Don't you see that even Ho Qingming and Ding Yan don't know about it? It's obvious that Duan Lingtian is the same as Teacher Yu Qianshan, deliberately keeping us in suspense. Let's wait. When the group of 10-star students dispersed in front of the 10 Stars Hall, Duan Lingtian was also preparing to return to his own dormitory. Duan Lingtian. However, just as Duan Lingtian, Ho Qingming, and Ding Yan were about to return to their dormitory, Yu Qianshan called out to them. Come with me. The dean wants to see you. Duan Lingtian was taken aback when he heard this. Then he followed Yu Qianshan. As for Ho Qingming and Ding Yan, they could only return by themselves. I was thinking of asking Duan Lingtian on the way back to see how many points he obtained. I didn't expect the dean to call him over. Ho Qingming could not help but smile bitterly when he saw Duan Lingtian leaving with Yu Qianshan. Ding Yan was silent. Duan Lingtian followed behind Yu Qianshan and walked toward the area surrounded by the 10-star students. They passed through a layer of fog and entered a paradise that was filled with birds and flowers. Although this place did not look big from the outside, it was a completely different world once they entered. It was as though there was an independent dimension that was surrounded by the 10-star students' dormitory. This way. Under Yu Qianshan's lead, Duan Lingtian arrived at a pavilion in the center of this paradise. This pavilion was located in a spacious mansion. To be more precise, it was in the backyard of this spacious mansion. There were a few lush trees in the surroundings that seemed to be able to support the heaven and earth. Duan Lingtian glanced at them and did not recognize what kind of trees they were. The pavilion was taller than the trees. It was surrounded by fog, making it seem like a pavilion in the air. It gave off the feeling of flowers in the mirror and the moon in the water. Dean, I've brought him here. Yu Qianshan led Duan Lingtian to the top floor of the pavilion and said respectfully. Duan Lingtian glanced inside and found that there was no one in the pavilion. Just as this thought flashed across his mind, there was a wave of ripples in the void within the pavilion. Then a figure appeared in front of him at the right time. It was an elegant middle-aged man. He was wearing a snow-white robe and had a handsome face. His long hair was tied behind his back, and he stood with his hands behind his back. He looked like a proud scholar. "You can leave first." The elegant middle-aged man was the dean of the Hidden Fog Academy, Morong Suifeng. Yu Qianshan respectfully left after hearing his words. For a moment, Duan Lingtian and Morong Suifeng were left alone in the pavilion. "Come in and have a seat." Morong Suifeng looked at Duan Lingtian from afar and smiled at Duan Lingtian. He waved his hand, and a wine bottle and 2 empty cups appeared on the wooden table in the pavilion. Morong Suifeng's figure flashed, and he sat down at the table. "Dean." After greeting Morong Suifeng, Duan Lingtian didn't stand on ceremony and directly sat down at the table. When Morong Suifeng saw how casual Duan Lingtian was, the smile on his face grew even wider. "Duan Lingtian, I like you very much. Let alone the students of the Hidden Fog Academy. Even ordinary teachers would hesitate for a long time if I asked them to sit down. I like how straightforward you are. You don't drag things out." Morong Suifeng's words were sincere. There was no hint of sarcasm in them. "It's tiring to be so courteous. Why don't we save the effort and time?" Duan Lingtian said with a smile. Duan Lingtian was only a student in the Hidden Fog Academy. It was impossible for him to be on the same level as the dean. However, Morong Suifeng was the one who asked him to sit. He did not think Morong Suifeng was superior to him, just because he was the dean. Duan Lingtian's goal was to go to the realm of gods and rescue his wife Ker. Even if Wuyin Suifeng, the dean of the Hidden Fog Academy, was a divine emperor, Duan Lingtian was certain he would surpass him in the future. Duan Lingtian did not want to offend Morong Suifeng, so he would not sit down without Morong Suifeng's permission. After all, his strength was still very weak. It would be unwise to anger Morong Suifeng, who was suspected to be a divine emperor. How refreshing. The smile on Morong Suifeng's face became even more brilliant. At the same time, he stretched out his hand to pick up the wine jug on the table and poured a cup of wine for Duan Lingtian, before pouring a cup for himself. "Come, taste the authoritative wine that I brewed myself." Authoritative wine was the name Morong Suifeng gave to the wine he brewed in memory of his disciple who died at such a young age. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of this. Authoritative wine? Although he found the name strange, the aroma of the wine on the table had already whetted his appetite. At the same time, when he smelled the aroma of the wine, he could feel the divine power in his body trembling unconsciously. Although the magnitude of the tremor was very small, he could still clearly feel it. This wine is not ordinary. This was the thought that rose in his subconscious mind. "Try it." Morong Suifeng smiled and said, "Divine Spirit, this is your first time drinking the authoritative wine that I brewed. It will be very beneficial to your cultivation. Perhaps, after drinking the authoritative wine today, and receiving the dragon-marked divine grass tomorrow, you will be able to break through and become a higher divine spirit in no time." Duan Lingtian could no longer hold back after hearing Morong Suifeng's words. He picked up the cup and swallowed the wine in one gulp. He did not even have the time to savor it before he swallowed it. In the next moment, Duan Lingtian felt a burning sensation in his throat. Then it was the inside of his body. His entire body began to heat up due to an unknown force. It was only when he subconsciously activated the modified 9 dragons, War Sovereign technique, to cultivate that the force was driven by him and merged with the divine energy in his body. This caused his divine energy to become much stronger in the blink of an eye. This change made his eyes brighten. Then, he regained his senses and stared at the jug of wine on the table. Meanwhile, Morong Suifeng picked up his cup of wine and took a sip before putting it down. After that, he picked up the wine jug and poured another cup of wine for Duan Lingtian, under Duan Lingtian's burning gaze. "You don't drink the way you did earlier. You have to slowly savor it before you'll be able to feel its flavor. After 3 cups, the authoritative wine's effect on your cultivation base will be negligible. So there's no need to rush. Take your time to savor it. Morong Suifeng felt Duan Lingtian's drinking method was a waste of God's gift. If it was an ordinary 10-star student, he would not have given him a second cup. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian smiled awkwardly and began to savor the second cup slowly. His eyes lit up immediately. Good wine. Although Duan Lingtian was not a person who was greedy for wine, regardless of whether it was in the mundane realm or the Devata realm, he had a certain understanding of wine and had drunk many good wines. The authoritative wine was not inferior to the few wines that he had drunk in the past. Most importantly, the authoritative wine had a unique flavor that was not present in the wines that he had drunk in the past. In fact, those wines did not even have a similar flavor. It was precisely because of this that the authoritative wine had amazed him. Dean, this is the best wine I've ever drunk. You said you brewed it yourself? Duan Lingtian looked at Morong Suifeng with shining eyes. A hint of longing could be seen in the depths of his eyes. As though he could see the longing and anticipation in Duan Lingtian's eyes, Morong Suifeng shook his head. Although the brewing of the authoritative wine is not complicated, some of the ingredients are very rare. In the past 100 years, I've only brewed 3 bottles. I drank 1 bottle myself and gave the sect leader another bottle. This is the only bottle left. Chapter 3656. Morong Suifeng's words completely extinguished Duan Lingtian's thoughts of asking Morong Suifeng for a few bottles of exclusive wine. On the phone, Duan Lingtian. Suddenly, Morong Suifeng's expression turned serious, and he looked at Duan Lingtian with a deep gaze. During the 10-star student trials this time, within the trial grounds, you ought to have encountered an attack, right? Duan Lingtian and Morong Suifeng looked at each other and nodded. Yes. The people from the 10,000 Leaves sect went near the trial grounds, but left soon after. According to them, it was Ho Qingning who asked them to go over. His original intention was for them to protect you, but you refused? Morong Suifeng asked again. Duan Lingtian nodded again. Why did you refuse? Morong Suifeng continued to ask. If they were to protect you, even if the leader of the divine kings couldn't enter, with other divine spirits protecting you, you would be safer in the trial grounds. Why did you refuse? Are you confident in yourself? Or do you have other helpers? Before Duan Lingtian could reply, Morong Suifeng asked another question. I don't want to owe anyone a favor, Duan Lingtian said. You don't want to owe anyone a favor? Morong Suifeng looked deeply at Duan Lingtian. This isn't a very good reason. Or rather, based on this reason, you have confidence in your own strength, right? Since Dean already knows, why ask? Duan Lingtian smiled and said, as long as the people from the Divine King clan in Tianfeng City aren't personally sent by a Divine King, I believe I still have some ability to protect myself. Only protect yourself? Morong Suifeng looked mockingly at Duan Lingtian. According to what I know, the Zhong clan specially nurtured a few teams of superior god death warriors, and one of them was completely annihilated this time. Even the leader of that team of death warriors, one of the strongest people under the Divine King realm in the Zhong clan, died. On the other hand, the leader of the Zhong family's loyalists is a higher deity who has comprehended the law of space and fused multiple profundities. Even with the strength you displayed in front of Hong Jun that day, it's impossible for you to defeat him. Morong Suifeng paused for a moment as he looked at Duan Lingtian with a deep gaze. Unless you were concealing your strength back then. Duan Lingtian was only slightly surprised that Morong Suifeng knew so much. But then he remembered that Morong Suifeng wasn't just the dean of the Hidden Fog Academy. He was also the vice sect master of the Divine Emperor level sect. With Morong Suifeng's status, it wasn't difficult for him to know about these things. Am I right? Morong Suifeng asked. Duan Lingtian faintly smiled. Dean's information network is indeed shocking. The death warriors I killed in the trial grounds weren't just the Zhong clan's death warriors. I also killed other death warriors. I wanted to ask some things from some of them, but they chose to die rather than submit. I had no way of knowing where they came from. But you, Dean, know so much. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh and shake his head. It looks like you admit it. Morong Suifeng also smiled. This time, I asked you to come here not only to confirm this matter with you, but also to let you enter the Hidden Fog sect ahead of time, and recommend you to become a core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect. Are you interested? Morong Suifeng asked. Enter the Hidden Fog sect in advance? Become a core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect? Duan Lingtian's eyes brightened at Morong Suifeng's words. At the same time, he repeatedly expressed his thanks. Thank you, Dean. Before entering the Hidden Fog Academy, he had already heard what being a core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect meant. Once one became a core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect, their status in the Hidden Fog sect would be no less than that of an inner sect elder. After they were 10,000 years old, if they still stayed in the Hidden Fog sect, they could even become a core elder, a lofty status. If they didn't want to stay in the Hidden Fog sect, they could enter the Emperor God level influence behind the Hidden Fog sect through the recommendation of the Hidden Fog sect. At that time, their status in the Emperor God level influence might not be high, but their status would be much more valuable. In the outside world, an ordinary elder of an Emperor God level influence would have a status that far surpassed that of a core elder of an Emperor God level influence. Of course, if one wanted to become an elder of an Emperor God level influence, even if they were an ordinary elder, they still had to pass some tests. Only by passing these tests could they enter an Emperor God level influence and become an elder. If they couldn't pass, they could only continue to stay in the Hidden Fog sect. However, even with my recommendation, you cannot directly become a core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect. The Hidden Fog sect has a series of tests for core disciples. Only by passing these tests can you become a core disciple. Morong Suifeng continued to say, if you can't pass, you can still enter the Hidden Fog sect ahead of time. But you can only become an inner sect disciple. In the future, if you want to become a core disciple, you can apply to participate in the tests again. Understood. Duan Lingtian naturally knew what Morong Suifeng was talking about. This was the same logic as those core disciples of the Hidden Fog sect, who wanted to join the Divine Emperor level force behind the Hidden Fog sect under the recommendation of the Hidden Fog sect. The Hidden Fog sect's recommendation could only be considered a stepping stone. If one wanted to enter an Emperor God level influence and become an elder, they needed to have sufficient ability. During this time, you should prepare a month from now. I will have the sect arrange for someone to come pick you up, Morong Suifeng said to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he continued to pour wine for Duan Lingtian. Thank you, Dean. Duan Lingtian thanked Morong Suifeng once again. After that, Morong Suifeng chatted with Duan Lingtian while drinking wine with Duan Lingtian. As they spoke, they also speculated about Duan Lingtian's origins. In front of Morong Suifeng, Duan Lingtian didn't say what he had said in the past. This was because someone at Morong Suifeng's level could already come into contact with an Emperor God level influence, like the Heavenly Illumination sect. Moreover, he was about to enter the Hidden Fog sect, so it wasn't convenient for him to say that he was a disciple of the Heavenly Illumination sect. Sect Master, I have been in the Mystic Handle land for some time, but I have never told anyone my true origins. Duan Lingtian sighed and said, Dean, you have taken care of me so much, so I naturally can't lie. Actually, I am not from the Mystic Handle land. Not from the Mystic Handle land. Morong Suifeng was stunned. Yes, Duan Lingtian nodded. Then where are you from? Morong Suifeng asked again. I am from the Devata realm, Duan Lingtian said. Devata realm? Morong Suifeng smiled when he heard that. I see. However, to have such achievements at your age, I think you are not an ordinary person in the Devata realm. In Morong Suifeng's eyes, Duan Lingtian was more than 2,000 years old after all. Naturally, he thought Duan Lingtian came from the Devata realm, before the Mystic Handle land collided with another realm of gods to form the realm battlefield. Have you been in the Mystic Handle land for 1,000 years? Morong Suifeng asked again. 1,000 years? Duan Lingtian shook his head. Don't tell me you came to the Mystic Handle land not long before the Mystic Handle land collided with another realm of gods? You have been here for less than 700 years? Morong Suifeng asked again. Not really. Duan Lingtian shook his head again. I have only been in the Mystic Handle Land for a few years. Only a few years? This time Morong Suifeng was stunned. After a long while he subconsciously muttered. The realm battlefield has opened, and the spatial passageways between the realms of gods and the Devata realms have closed. Under such circumstances, how did you come to the Mystic Handle Land? Actually, I don't know if I was lucky or not. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. I was originally cultivating in the Netherworld, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realm. Suddenly, a spatial rift appeared beside me, and a suction force sucked me in. When I regained my senses, I found myself in an unfamiliar place. Later, I found out that I was in the realm battlefield formed by the intersection of 2 realms of gods. When Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Morong Suifeng finally regained his senses. So you were swept into the realm battlefield from the Devata realm by the spatial turbulence. I've heard of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realm, but I've never been there. I didn't expect the space there to be so unstable. Morong Suifeng did not doubt Duan Lingtian's words. However, with your strength, you're considered lucky to be able to leave the realm battlefield alive and come to the Mystic Handle Land. Morong Suifeng added. Actually, it's not really luck. I just met a senior and told him what happened to me. Then, he kindly sent me to the military camp in the realm battlefield, and I came to the Mystic Handle Land through the transportation formation. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. Isn't that also luck? Morong Suifeng said with a smile. Not everyone is so kind in the realm battlefield. I think so too. Duan Lingtian nodded solemnly. Therefore, I'll definitely find an opportunity in the future to return this favor to that senior. Morong Suifeng had a look of admiration in his eyes. He could see that Duan Lingtian was speaking from the bottom of his heart, and he was not pretending in front of him. It was precisely because of this that his impression of Duan Lingtian became even better. If it wasn't for the promise he made all those years ago to not take any more disciples, he felt that he would be unable to restrain himself from wanting to take this person before him as his disciple. He came to the Mystic Handle Land by accident from a Devata realm, had a clean background, and possessed outstanding innate talent and comprehension ability. As long as he was given the opportunity, he would definitely be able to rise up and even soar into the sky. At this moment, Duan Lingtian also noticed that after drinking the 3rd cup of authority wine, the 4th cup did not bring any changes to his divine energy. Obviously, it was just as Morong Suifeng had said. Only the first 3 cups of authority wine were helpful to the improvement of one's cultivation base. After chatting for a while, Duan Lingtian bid farewell to Morong Suifeng and prepared to leave. On the other hand, Morong Suifeng called Yu Qianshan, who had not gone far away, to send Duan Lingtian back to the 10-star student dormitory. Before returning to his dormitory, all Duan Lingtian could hear were voices that were filled with anticipation for his ranking on the trial rankings tomorrow. I'm really curious. How many points did senior brother Duan Lingtian obtain in this trial? I really hope tomorrow comes early. Lingtian war revered. Chapter 3657. Duan Lingtian could not help but shake his head when he heard the curious and expectant voices. His points. Perhaps the entire Hidden Fog Academy would be in an uproar because of the points he obtained in the 10-star trial tomorrow. In the past, the highest points a 10-star student could obtain in a trial was only 20,000 points. If I had known earlier, I would have asked Ding Yan and Ho Qingning about this before the trial. That way, I wouldn't have been so high profile. Duan Lingtian shook his head and returned to his dorm under the watchful eyes of many people. He returned to his room in the dormitory and sat on the bed. The first thing he did was to take out a stalk of grass that was glowing with a green light. The grass was in an irregular shape and did not show any signs of decay. It was full of vitality and seemed to be able to live well independently of the soil. This was the reward for ranking first in the 10-star trial, the dragon-marked divine grass. Before Yu Qianshan returned to the Hidden Fog Academy, Yu Qianshan, Under the instruction of the dean, Morong Suifeng, Yu Qianshan had given him the reward for ranking first in the 10-star trial. Naturally, Duan Lingtian knew the reason the dean was so kind to him was because the dean approved of him as a person. This time, in front of Morong Suifeng, he spoke of his true origins. However, he didn't reveal how he had entered the dimensional battlefield. That was because he couldn't reveal the truth. After all, it was related to the existence of the 5 divine elements. The 5 divine elements were not only precious in the Devata realms, but they were also precious in the realms of gods. This was especially true for the high-level 5 divine elements. They were extremely tempting. Even god emperors and ultimate gods would scramble for the high-level 5 divine elements. After all, it was the most direct way for them to take the final step and become a supreme expert. For this reason, Duan Lingtian could not reveal the 5 divine elements in front of Morong Suifeng, and the things he had fabricated were all reasonable and well-founded. Even if one day Morong Suifeng went to the undead world, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms, and discovered that the space there was extremely unstable, he would not doubt Duan Lingtian's words. He would only think that the space in the undead world was unstable due to the collision between the realms of gods. Moreover, even if Morong Suifeng wanted to go to the netherworld, he would have to wait for 300 years. 300 years later, even if Morong Suifeng found out that he had lied today, it wouldn't affect him at all. As for revealing his background to Morong Suifeng now, that was only to give himself a true identity. Only like this would the Hidden Fog sect not have any scruples towards him. A person with an unclear background was someone no influence could cultivate too much. In a month's time, I'll be able to take the next step. A godly emperor force will be my first stage in the realms of gods. Duan Lingtian's eyes were burning with passion as he looked at the dragon-marked divine grass. When he tried to infuse his divine energy into the dragon-marked divine grass, lines that resembled dragon scales appeared on the surface of the dragon-marked divine grass. No wonder teacher Yu Qianshan reminded me to nourish it with my divine energy before I consume it. Only then can I activate all of its medicinal efficacy. So that's how the dragon-marked divine grass got its name. Previously, Duan Lingtian was still puzzled as to why this stalk of grass was called the dragon-marked divine grass, when he could not see any traces of the dragon-marked divine grass. Now that he had infused his divine energy into it, he finally understood. After the dragon mark appeared, Duan Lingtian stuffed the grass into his mouth and swallowed it. Then, as the medicinal efficacy of the dragon-marked divine grass entered his body, Duan Lingtian began to close his eyes. He paid no attention to the outside world as he immersed himself in his cultivation. For the time being, he was afraid of the outside world. It was a peaceful night for Duan Lingtian. However, it was not a peaceful night for the other 10-star students, and even the students of the Hidden Mist Academy. At this moment, even the other students had learned from some of the 10-star students that Duan Lingtian had accumulated so many points during the trial that even Yu Qianshan's expression changed. Who was Yu Qianshan? He was one of the few teachers in the Hidden Mist Academy who was second only to the dean. Therefore, even those who were not 10-star students were looking forward to the release of the results the next day. Meanwhile, in the Hidden Mist Academy's teacher dormitory, Chu Fengyang, who was on duty at the 10-star hall, went to the cultivation place of another teacher, Yin Hui. It was considered a teacher's dormitory in the Hidden Mist Academy. Martial uncle. Yin Hui was the teacher who arranged for Duan Lingtian to enter the Hidden Mist Academy. He was also Chu Fengyang's martial uncle. Chu Fengyang had learned from Yin Hui that Duan Lingtian was extraordinary. That was why he was so confident in Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian fought with Ding Yen and Hong Jun Kid, "Why are you here all of a sudden?" Yin Hui smiled kindly when he saw Chu Fengyang. Without waiting for Chu Fengyang to speak, he asked, "Is it because of that kid Duan Lingtian? It seems that martial uncle already knows about him." Chu Fengyang smiled embarrassedly before he went straight to the point. "Junior uncle, I came to look for you because I want to ask you, how many points did Duan Lingtian obtain in the trial this time? Right now, everyone in the academy is curious." "What? Do you think I should know?" Yunhui asked in a bad mood. Martial uncle, if you ask teacher Yu Qianshan, do you think he won't tell you? In terms of seniority, he has to address you as senior brother. Moreover, you saved his life when he was young, so he is very respectful to you. Chu Fengyang said. If you ask him, he won't hide it. Maybe. Martial uncle, you already asked? Chu Fengyang looked at Yunhui expectantly. I would like to ask, but the dean has already said that Qianshan can't reveal Duan Lingtian's results in advance. Now even I have to wait until tomorrow to know. Yunhui sighed. I think, this time, Duan Lingtian must have gotten an amazing result. Chu Fengyang was shocked when he heard this. Even the dean has said that? Isn't this too much? The dean had said that Duan Lingtian's trial results couldn't be revealed in advance? Since when did the dean care about this? In the history of the Hidden Fog Academy, their dean had never done such a thing. But this time, why was it so different? I also think it's too much. Yunhui nodded. I even suspect Duan Lingtian might have gotten more than 50,000 points. 50,000? This is too much, isn't it? Chu Fengyang clicked his tongue. As for the exact number, we'll know tomorrow. Yunhui said. Chu Fengyang nodded. At the same time, he seemed to think of something and asked. Martial uncle, I heard that the dean intends to let Duan Lingtian enter our hidden mist sect in advance and recommend him to become a core disciple? Yes. Yunhui nodded. He was quite clear about this matter. The dean has already informed the sect. 1 month later, the sect will send someone to pick up Duan Lingtian. 1 month later? So soon? Chu Fengyang was surprised. As far as I know, the next core disciple assessment is still half a year away, right? Yunhui nodded. The reason the dean did this is probably because he wants Duan Lingtian to enter the sect earlier and enjoy the treatment of an inner sect disciple. The treatment of an inner sect disciple is much better than the treatment of a 10-star student. That's true. Chu Fengyang nodded. At the same time, he couldn't help but look expectant. Maybe Duan Lingtian can really pass the core disciple assessment and become a core disciple. Maybe. Yunhui nodded. Martial uncle, even you don't have much confidence in him? Chu Fengyang was startled. It's not that I don't have confidence. It's just that the core disciple assessment set up for Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciples is much more difficult than the core disciple assessment for Divine King Realm inner sect disciples and above. Of course, the difficulty here is for the inner sect disciples who participate in the assessment. Yunhui shook his head as he said, after all, the Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciples participate in the assessment for Divine Spirit Realm core disciples. And the Divine King Realm inner sect disciples participate in the assessment for Divine King Realm core disciples. Moreover, it's not like you don't know. In our Hidden Fog sect's nearly 10,000 years of history, there hasn't been a single Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciple who has passed the core disciple assessment. Yunhui's words caused Chu Fengyang to fall silent. If it weren't for his martial uncle reminding him, he would have forgotten about this matter. In the Hidden Fog sect's nearly 10,000 years of history, although there had been many Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciples who participated in the core disciple assessment, there hadn't been a single Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciple who had successfully passed the core disciple assessment. It was also because of this that although the Hidden Fog sect had several dozen core disciples, the weakest of them were lower god kings. I also hope that Duan Lingtian can pass the core disciple assessment. If he can break the 10,000-year curse, he might become the next Shui Haichuan. Unknowingly, Yunhui's eyes flashed with anticipation. Shui Haichuan. As for Chu Fengyang, when he heard Yunhui mention this name, his eyes couldn't help but light up. Shui Haichuan was similar in age to him, and his seniority in the Hidden Fog sect was similar to his. When Shui Haichuan was still in the Hidden Fog sect, whenever he saw Shui Haichuan, he would call him senior apprentice brother. Shui Haichuan was also the most recent person in the Hidden Fog sect to become a core disciple with the Divine Spirit Realm cultivation. Of course, that was 10,000 years ago. Now, Shui Haichuan was an elder of the God Emperor level influence behind the Hidden Fog sect. Moreover, his status was lofty, and even the current sect master of the Hidden Fog sect had to be respectful to him. Chapter 3658. The next day, when the sun had just risen, one by one, figures rushed out of the 10 Stars dormitory and entered the 10 Stars palace. The results will be released in another 2 hours. Let's go and wait. I'm really curious. How many points did Senior Duan Lingtian get? Even teacher Yu Qianshan's expression changed. We'll know the answer in 2 hours. There was only one teacher on duty in the 10 Stars palace. It was none other than Yuan Lei, who was on good terms with Ding Yan and Hong Jun previously. When Duan Lingtian fought with Ding Yan and Hong Jun, he did not think highly of Duan Lingtian at all. However, when Duan Lingtian fought with Hong Jun, Chu Fengyang, the Hidden Fog Academy's teacher, wanted to bet with Yuan Lei, but he was rejected. After Duan Lingtian defeated Hong Jun, even Yuan Lei was shocked. He no longer dared to underestimate Duan Lingtian. Teacher Yuan Lei, the results will be released in 2 hours. Do you know how many points Duan Lingtian got in this trial? Ding Yan walked up to Yuan Lei and looked at him with a deep gaze. It was as though he was trying to figure out something from Yuan Lei's expression. Go away. Yuan Lei glared at Ding Yan. You brat. You have such a good relationship with Duan Lingtian. And you don't even know? Why are you asking me? Let me tell you, up until now, apart from Duan Lingtian himself, teacher Yu Qianshan, and the dean, I'm afraid there's no fourth person who knows about Duan Lingtian's results in the trial. Even for me, I can only wait with you. Ding Yan was naturally disappointed when he heard Yuan Lei's words. Within the 10 Stars Palace Hall, a group of people surrounded a corner of the 10 Stars Palace Hall. In front of them was a formation, and there was a light screen erected within it. Currently, the light screen was completely blank, and there was nothing on it. This was also the light screen that displayed the results of the 10 Stars trials. Although there were still 2 hours before the results were released, most of the 10 Star students were already waiting for the results to be announced. Clearly, they were very curious about the results of the 10 Star trial. Half an hour later, even Hong Jun, Ho Qingming, and the others, who were the strongest 10 Star students before Duan Lingtian entered the Hidden Mist Academy, appeared one by one, attracting the attention of the other 10 Star students. Then, many teachers of the Hidden Mist Academy also showed up. How lively! It seems that everyone wants to see Duan Lingtian's results with their own eyes. A quarter of an hour before the results were announced, almost all of the 10 Star students were present, except for 2 people. One was Duan Lingtian, and the other was Chong Keqi, who was recognized as the crown prince of the Chong family. Duan Lingtian didn't come. That Chong Keqi didn't come either. In fact, there weren't many 10 Star students. With just a glance, one could tell who had come and who hadn't. Teacher Chu Fengyang is here. As another figure flashed in from outside, many of the 10 Star students' eyes fell on the figure. It was none other than Chu Fengyang. Chu Fengyang was often on duty in the 10 Stars Hall, so he was no stranger to the 10 Star students. Only a quarter of an hour left. Now, not only the 10 Star students present, but even the teachers of the Hidden Fog Academy were looking at the light screen in the corner of the 10 Stars Hall, waiting for the results of the 10 Star students' trial to appear. Time passed quietly. A quarter of an hour passed in the blink of an eye for everyone present. But now they felt like a year had passed. Or it should be said that each breath felt like a year. There are only a few breaths left. When the time was almost up, a dignified voice sounded. The originally chaotic breathing in the 10 Stars Hall completely stopped at this moment. Like torches, everyone's eyes fell on the light screen that had begun to change. The first thing that appeared on the light screen was the names at the bottom. The results of the 10 Star students were displayed from bottom to top. The results of the people at the bottom were not attractive. Everyone's eyes followed the names. 6th place, Hong Jun, 17,821 points. Hong Jun was the 6th place in the 10 Star students trial. It seems like senior brother Hong Jun's score is the lowest among the 5. Now, only the other 4 senior brothers and senior brother Duan Lingtian's scores haven't appeared. The person in 5th place in front of Hong Jun was one of the 5 strongest students before the 10-star students. He was as famous as Hong Jun and Ho Qingming. He had obtained 18,030 points, which was less than 200 points more than Hong Jun. The person in 4th place had less than 100 points more than the person in 5th place. The person in 3rd place had more than 300 points more than the person in 4th place. It seems like senior brother Ho Qingming's score is the highest among them. It's a pity that senior brother Duan is here. If senior brother Duan wasn't here, he would definitely be in 1st place. Under the gazes of the crowd, the name in 2nd place finally appeared. It was none other than Ho Qingming. He actually obtained more than 20,000 points. When Ho Qingming's score appeared along with his name, the people in the 10 Stars Hall were in an uproar. One had to know that in the previous 10-star trial, the number 1 student had only managed to get a score of 20,000 points. That was just a hair's breadth away. However, this time, Ho Qingming's score had exceeded 20,000 points. He obtained more than 20,000 points, but he didn't get 1st place. Senior brother Ho Qingming must be feeling very indignant, right? Many of the 10-star students looked in Ho Qingming's direction with curiosity. However, to their disappointment, after Ho Qingming saw that he was in 2nd place, his face did not reveal any disappointment or unwillingness. He looked at the line above his name with a serious expression, the part that had not yet appeared. Senior brother Duan Lingtian's score is going to be revealed soon. Under the gazes of everyone who held their breaths, Duan Lingtian's name finally appeared. Subsequently, the gazes of the group of people descended onto the back of Duan Lingtian's name in unison, and they saw the standard points appear behind it. When Duan Lingtian's score appeared before everyone's eyes, the entire place fell into a dead silence again. The entire 10 Stars Hall was so silent that one could hear the sound of a needle hitting the ground. How is this possible? Some of the 10-star students looked at each other in dismay after they came back to their senses. Their faces were full of disbelief, and their eyes were full of unparalleled horror. Are these points real or fake? Isn't this too heaven-defying? All of the 10-star students were in an uproar. Even Hong Jun, Ho Qingming, and the others were stunned. That fellow. While Ho Qingming was dumbfounded, the corners of his mouth also curled up into a bitter smile. Ding Yan was also dumbstruck, appearing to be in a daze. Even the group of Hidden Fog Academy teachers who were standing on the side were speechless when they regained their senses. The corner of Chu Fengyang's mouth could not help but twitch when he saw Duan Lingtian's achievement in the 10 Stars trial. I thought Junior Uncle's estimate of 50,000 points was already overestimating him. Now it seems like I've underestimated him. This Duan Lingtian, he's a monster. Yuan Lei swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said with a trembling voice. The other Hidden Fog Academy teachers around him also nodded, expressing their deep agreement with his words. At this moment, after Duan Lingtian's name, there was a neatly marked number, 125,613 points. Over 100,000 points. Even if it was just a fraction of 100,000 points, it was still more than the 2nd place, Ho Qingming. I'm afraid this is the most abnormal score in the history of our Hidden Fog Academy's 10-star trial. Right? A 10-star student said. In the history of our Hidden Fog Academy's 10-star trial, the highest score was only close to 30,000 points. Senior brother Duan Lingtian's score this time not only broke the original record, it's even 4 times the original record. 4 times. Senior brother Duan Lingtian can no longer be described as a monster. He's a freak. I didn't expect to witness such a scene in the Hidden Fog Academy before I graduate. This scene is enough for me to brag about for the rest of my life. As the 10-star students came back to their senses, the atmosphere in the 10 Stars Hall became extremely angry. Among the 10-star students, there was one who didn't look too good. He was a branch disciple of the Chong family, Chong Huliang. Chong Kuchi didn't come, but Chong Huliang did. When he saw the number of points Duan Lingtian had obtained in the 10-star trial, he immediately sent a message to Chong Kuchi, who didn't come, to inform him of the matter. What? 120,000 points. Chong Keki, who was in a middle-grade dormitory, received Chong Huliang's message. He was originally sitting on the bed with his eyes closed, but he jumped up as if his butt was on fire. His face was full of horror. After the shock, his face became very ugly. He didn't go to the 10 Stars Hall today, because he was worried that Duan Lingtian would do something to him. Let alone the 10 Stars Hall. He didn't think Duan Lingtian would dare to touch him anywhere in the Hidden Fog Academy. The reason he didn't go was because he didn't want to see Duan Lingtian in the limelight. After all, teacher Yu Qianshan's performance had already told them that Duan Lingtian was the winner of the 10-star trial. He regarded Duan Lingtian as his and the Chong family's enemy. Naturally, he didn't want to see him in the limelight. However, although he didn't go personally, he sent a message to Chong Huliang and asked him to send the news to him as soon as possible. But now the news came. He, however, was frightened. Chapter 3659. He got more than 120,000 points in the 10-star trial. When this news spread throughout the Hidden Fog Academy, the entire academy was in an uproar. Oh my god! What kind of monster is that senior brother Duan? In the history of our academy, the best result of a 10-star student was only about 30,000 points. But he actually obtained more than 120,000 points. Yeah, that's crazy. He's not human. It wasn't just the 10-star students who were shocked by Duan Lingtian's results. Even the other students of the Hidden Fog Academy were shocked by Duan Lingtian's results. Of course, there were some people who were calmer. Most of them were teachers of the Hidden Fog Academy. Duan Lingtian's results have something to do with the monsters arranged by the sect. The strongest monster they arranged was only slightly weaker than Hong Jun's group of 5. It wasn't easy for Hong Jun's group of 5 to deal with, but it was nothing for Duan Lingtian. Indeed, previously, during the battle between Duan Lingtian and Hong Jun had to use a Devata artifact to barely fight him to a draw. If Duan Lingtian used his Devata artifact, even the strongest demon beast in the trial grounds would not be able to withstand a few attacks from him. If he makes a surprise move, even the strongest demonic beast in the trial ground may be killed by him in an instant. When Duan Lingtian participated in the 10-star student trials this time, and slaughtered those demon beasts, he would definitely slaughter them in a crushing manner. Under such circumstances, his points would naturally explode. Even so, more than 120,000 points is still very shocking. After figuring out the reason, many teachers of the Hidden Fog Academy felt relieved. A few students gradually calmed down after listening to the teacher's analysis. They were no longer as crazy as before. Even so, in their eyes, Duan Lingtian was still a lofty existence that they could only look up to. The gap between them was just too big. He was not even 2,800 years old, but he already possessed such strength. In the history of the Hidden Fog Academy, no one was as outstanding as him. In fact, no one was even comparable to him. Senior brother Duan has created a milestone in the history of the Hidden Fog Academy. I wonder how long it will take for someone to break this milestone. Maybe no one will ever be able to break it. No matter how much the Hidden Fog Academy talked about him, Duan Lingtian didn't know about it. He was now immersed in cultivation. He could feel that the divine power in his body was transforming rapidly. He was getting closer and closer to the upper god realm. A breakthrough was just around the corner. On this day, Duan Lingtian, who was still wholeheartedly cultivating, was awakened by someone. The person who woke him was none other than Chu Fengyang. Teacher Chu. Duan Lingtian had a very good impression of Chu Fengyang, this teacher that he came in contact with more often. When he saw Chu Fengyang come looking for him, Duan Lingtian asked with a curious expression, "It has already been a month since the last trial?" "Exactly 1 month." Chu Fengyang nodded with a smile. "You didn't forget what the dean said to you a month ago, right? The people from the sect arrived yesterday, but my martial uncle took him to drink all night, so he didn't disturb you yesterday." As Chu Fengyang spoke to hear, there was a trace of helplessness in his voice. The elder who came as an inner sect elder. In terms of seniority, I should call him senior apprentice uncle. He and my senior apprentice uncle were childhood friends, and the two of them had a very good relationship since they were young. Later, They entered Hidden Fog Academy together, and both entered the Hidden Fog sect, becoming inner sect elders of the Hidden Fog sect. Duan Lingtian knew that the martial uncle Chu Fengyang mentioned was the teacher who was in charge of his 10-star entrance exam, Yin Hui. It was just that Duan Lingtian didn't expect that solemn-looking old man to have such a side to him. Yesterday, when we were drinking, I also accompanied them. My martial uncle said to that martial uncle that he thinks highly of you. Once you enter the sect, that martial uncle will take care of you. If you have any problems, you can look for him. Chu Fengyang said to Duan Lingtian, as he led Duan Lingtian away. Before I take you to that martial uncle, you should go greet the dean first. After leaving the 10-star student dormitory, and passing through the illusionary white fog formed by the array formation, Chu Fengyang led Duan Lingtian directly to the residence of the Hidden Fog Academy's dean, Morong Suifeng. Dean, Morong Suifeng looked at Duan Lingtian and smiled. Duan Lingtian, after you arrive at the sect, you still have to wait for some time before the core disciple exam begins. Before that, you should try to break through to the upper god realm as soon as possible. That way, you will have a higher chance of passing the core disciple exam. The Hidden Fog sect's core disciple exam for intermediate gods was easier than the core disciple exam for upper gods. However, it wasn't much easier. Higher deities had an advantage over the rest. If you can pass the core disciple exam and become a core disciple, at that time, I will give you a gift, Morong Suifeng said. As soon as Morong Suifeng finished speaking, before Duan Lingtian could even speak, Chu Fengyang's eyes had already lit up. At the same time, he subconsciously looked at Duan Lingtian with an envious expression. Duan Lingtian, you have to work hard. Not a single thing that the dean personally gives out isn't precious. Duan Lingtian looked at Morong Suifeng. His eyes flashed and he asked with a smile, Dean, if the gift is a recipe for the power brew, I will be very interested. In Duan Lingtian's opinion, there weren't many things that Morong Suifeng could take out that would interest him, unless it was a divine pill, divine fruit, or divine herb that could help his cultivation. Apart from that, he wasn't interested in divine weapons or cultivation methods at all. This was because even the best divine weapon Morong Suifeng could take out couldn't compare to his high-grade divine weapon, the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. As for cultivation methods, the cultivation method he cultivated was an ultimate god-level cultivation method that originated from a supreme expert. As long as his talent could keep up, given enough time, he would definitely become an ultimate god. The recipe for the power brew? Morong Suifeng was stunned for a moment. Then he couldn't help but shake his head. You are too useless. If you are interested in the recipe for the power brew, I can give it to you now. As soon as he finished speaking, Morong Suifeng took out a jade slip and secretly infused his divine power into it. Then, he withdrew his divine power and handed the jade slip to Duan Lingtian. The recipe for the power brew is inside. As for my promise to you, it doesn't include the recipe. As long as you become a core disciple, I will give you another gift. Thank you, Dean. Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he received the recipe for the power brew. However, after hearing Morong Suifeng's words, he still expressed his gratitude. He couldn't tell Morong Suifeng that he wasn't interested in divine weapons or cultivation techniques, other than those that could help improve his cultivation. If that happened, even if he didn't say that he had better divine weapons and cultivation techniques, some of his secrets would still be exposed. Once you enter the sect, I can't provide you with too much help. You will have to rely on yourself for everything. In the Hidden Fog Academy, I can cover the sky with one hand, but in the sect, I am only a vice sect master. Not to mention the other vice sect masters, even the protectors have the same status as me. Many of the protectors are also deans of Hidden Fog Academies in other cities like Tianfeng City. Before Duan Lingtian left, Morong Suifeng told him a few more things. In the sect, it's not just the inner sect disciples. The inner sect elders are also the core disciples. There's also a clear division between the core elders. Since you've left my Tianfeng City's Hidden Fog Academy and entered the sect, It's equivalent to being branded with the Tianfeng city's legacy. Unless you become a disciple of another faction's elder, protector, or vice sect master, you won't be able to wash away the Tianfeng city's legacy. Morong Suifeng reminded him. Within the sect, if you only have a conflict with people from the Wind City faction, I can help to mediate. However, if you have a conflict with people from other factions, I can't help even if I want to. Morong Suifeng's words also reminded Duan Lingtian. Understood. Duan Lingtian nodded. Although he didn't expect the Hidden Fog sect's waters to be so deep, he didn't take it to heart. As far as he was concerned, all he had to do was play his part. He wouldn't take the initiative to cause trouble. However, if trouble came to him, he wouldn't be afraid. Go, don't let Elder Tang Chun wait too long. After telling Duan Lingtian what he wanted to say, Morong Suifeng asked Duan Lingtian to find a Hidden Fog sect elder named Tang Chun. It wasn't hard for Duan Lingtian to guess that this should be the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect elder that came to pick him up. After saying goodbye to Morong Suifeng, Duan Lingtian went to find Tang Chun under Chu Fingyang's lead. Tang Chun was still at Yin Hui's residence. Teacher Yin. When Duan Lingtian saw Yin Hui again, he quickly bowed to him. Then, he looked at Tang Chun and bowed to him. Junior Duan Lingtian greets Elder Tang Chun. Tang Chun was a tall and sturdy old man. His white hair was draped over his back, looking a little messy. Together with his body, he gave off a wild and unrestrained feeling. Now he was looking at Duan Lingtian. His eyes shone with a sharp light as he sized up Duan Lingtian. What a handsome little fellow. Duan Lingtian, right? Yin Hui already told me to take good care of you. Once you follow me to the sect, if you have any problems, you can look for me. If I can't solve it, I'll do my best to help you. If I can't solve it, then you can only rely on yourself. When Tang Chun spoke, his voice was very rough and bold. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but have a good impression of him. He could tell that this was a straightforward person. This kind of person was generally worth befriending. They did things openly and wouldn't act one way and act another. Thank you, Elder Tang. Duan Lingtian smiled and thanked him. Tang Chun looked at Yin Hui and scolded him with a smile. I'll beat you up next time. Today, I'll bring Duan Lingtian back to the sect first. If you have nothing to do, come back to the sect more often to drink with me. You big ape. Come to Tianfeng City to find me anytime. Yin Hui didn't want to be left behind, and scolded him with a smile. Duan Lingtian stood at the side, and looked at the two old men, who had such a good relationship, that it made others envious. His thoughts couldn't help but wander. He thought of many old friends in the past, many of whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Some of them were even no longer in this world. Chapter 3660. Tang Chun was frank and outspoken. But he wasn't a person who only showed one thing on the surface. Even after leaving the Hidden Fog Academy, and not being in front of Yin Hui, he was still very warm towards Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, in the history of Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy, this is the first time a genius like you has appeared. It seems that this time, our Wind City bloodline will be in the limelight in the sect. After leaving the Hidden Fog Academy, Tang Chun wasn't in a hurry to bring Duan Lingtian out of Wind City. Instead, he brought Duan Lingtian to a restaurant and walked in. Elder Tang Chun is overpraising me. Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled. If you can maintain this momentum, even if you can't become a core disciple in the Divine Spirit realm, when you step into the Divine King realm, you will definitely become a core disciple. Tang Chun said with a smile. Once you become a core disciple, you will receive the sect's unstinting cultivation. At the same time, you will enjoy the same treatment as us inner sect elders. As Tang Chun spoke, a trace of envy flashed in his eyes. In the Hidden Fog sect, that fellow Yin Hui and I can only be considered mediocre. We have worked hard for many years and worked tirelessly to reach where we are today. Once you become a core disciple, you will be able to surpass all of our hard work over the years. As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Chun let out a sigh of relief. He glanced at the crowded restaurant and said, "The signature dishes of this restaurant are pretty good. In the past, every time I came to Wind City, I would come here for a meal without exception. Let's eat here and then leave. Hearing Tang Chun say this, Duan Lingtian naturally didn't have any objections. There are no private rooms. When he walked into the restaurant, Tang Chun asked the staff if there were any private rooms, but the reply he received was that there were none. Sir, I'm really sorry. It's lunchtime now, so all the private rooms are occupied. Even in the main hall, there are only a few empty tables, and they've just been vacated. Would you like to condescend to sit in the main hall? Facing the restaurant waiter's apology, Tang Chun's slightly furrowed brows relaxed. Sure, you can arrange it for us, the two of us. Guest, please follow me. When the waiter heard this, he quickly and enthusiastically led Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian to a table that had just been cleaned up and sat down. After leaving the menu, he went to pour tea for the two of them. The signature dishes here are pretty good. You can try them too, Tang Chun said to Duan Lingtian with a smile. Duan Lingtian nodded immediately. Since Elder Tang Chun is praising the signature dish here, I'm sure it's not bad. I'll satisfy my cravings. After Duan Lingtian and Tang Chun ordered, they waited for a while before the dishes were served. A group of people walked out of a private room in the same restaurant. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would definitely recognize a familiar face. It was none other than the young master of the Zhong family, Chong Keki, who was also a 10-star student of the Hidden Mist Academy. He was widely recognized as the crown prince of the Zhong family. Young Master Keki, it's rare for you to ask for leave. Why don't you stay with us for a few more days? There's no need to rush back. Chong Kechi walked in the front. Behind him, there were 5 other people. They looked like they were about the same age as him. One of them was talking to him. There's no other way. Chong Keki shook his head and said, I only asked for 2 days leave. Today is the last day, so I have to go back. When I come out next time, I'll treat everyone to a good meal and have fun. Those who were with Chong Keki were not all from the Zhong family. They were all children of the Zhong family's subordinate families. They usually liked to follow behind Chong Keki, as if Chong Keki was their leader. Chong Keki also liked the feeling of being followed one after another. Young Master Keki. At this time, another person asked in a deep voice, You and the Zhong family hate that Duan Lingtian. Should we find a way to get rid of him? Otherwise, when he goes to the Hidden Mist sect, it will be a big disaster for you and the Zhong family. You think we don't want to get rid of him? Chong Keki turned around and glared at the person who spoke. If he doesn't leave the Hidden Mist Academy, how can we get a chance? During the last 10-star student exam, he did leave the Hidden Mist Academy. But with teacher Yu Qianshan there, even our Zhong family's divine king won't be able to do anything. The reason Chong Keki asked for leave was because he felt that the Hidden Mist Academy was too depressing. Although no one was openly or secretly making fun of him for having his dorm seized by Duan Lingtian, the situation of him being Duan Lingtian's enemy still made him feel like there was a thorn in his back, so he took 2 days off to relax. At the same time, he wanted to personally ask the seniors in his family if they had any plans to take revenge on Duan Lingtian. Today, after coming out of the family, he learned that the family was waiting for the Duan Lingtian to go to the Hidden Mist sect before dealing with the Duan Lingtian. He was in a bad mood. Then, he found a few people behind him and went to the family's restaurant to eat and drink. Now they were about to leave. Chong Keki took the lead and led the few people through the long private room passage to the hall outside. In the Zhong family's restaurant, if you want to leave the private room, you have to go through the hall. Young master. Wherever Chong Keki went, the restaurant's waiters respectfully saluted him. Obviously, they all knew Chong Keki and his identity. Chong Keki ignored these waiters and walked into the hall and out the door. Young Master Qi, your Zhong family's restaurant is really good. Even the hall is full. A young man behind him glanced at the hall and sighed. When Chong Keki heard this, he also subconsciously glanced at the hall. It was this glance that made him unable to move his eyes away, because he saw a familiar figure, a figure that he often saw in his nightmares recently. Recently, he often dreamed that he was killed by the person in front of him. Duan Lingtian? Why did he come out? Did he also ask for leave? This was Chong Keki's first thought. At the same time, he began to look at the figure across the table from Duan Lingtian. After a few more glances, he concluded that the person was not a teacher of the Hidden Fog Academy. It seems that this person might be his elder. His elder came to Tianfeng City, so he asked for leave to meet with him, and he just happened to come to our Zhong family's restaurant. Chong Keki took a deep breath and began to walk back to the private room passage. This action not only confused the waiters on both sides of the passage, but also the people behind him. "Young Master Chi, what's wrong with you? Shut up!" Chong Keki directly shouted at the waiters. His tone was very serious, so the waiters did not dare to speak again. The next moment, under the watchful eyes of the waiters, Chong Keki began to send a message to several soul beads in his storage ring. The people he sent the message to were his father, Chong Er, the second master of the Chong family, his uncle Chong Er, and his two uncles, Chong Er and Chong Er. Now, Chong Er and Chong Er had returned from outside and were in the Chong family's mansion. When the four of them learned from Chong Keki that Duan Lingtian was suspected to be with his family in their restaurant, even if they were in different places, a murderous intent flashed in their eyes. Chong Er, the patriarch of the Chong family, directly sent a message to Chong Er. "Er, are you in your restaurant?" "Big brother, I'm here." Chong Er responded immediately. "I'm with Chong Keki now. Now, send your people to get the disc array. We have to seal the space around the restaurant and not let any messages out. Then, we have to trap Duan Lingtian and kill him. Duan Lingtian is in the hall, right? See if you can find a way to arrange for them to enter the private room. Then, set up a formation outside the private room to further cut off the connection between him and the people outside." As the patriarch of the Chong family, Chong Er's idea was very clear. He wanted to kill Duan Lingtian in the restaurant. "Yes, big brother." Chong Er responded respectfully. "Chong Keki, are you sure the person with Duan Lingtian is not a teacher of the Hidden Fog Academy?" Chong Er asked Chong Keki. Chong Keki responded decisively. "Uncle, I've been in the Hidden Fog Academy for nearly 2,000 years. I know all the teachers in the Hidden Fog Academy, but I don't know that person. That person is definitely not a teacher of the Hidden Fog Academy." "I understand," Chong Er responded and then said, "I'll let your father go over personally. Tell your fourth uncle to wait for your father to arrive before we act. Also, before the formation is set up, don't expose yourself. Don't let Duan Lingtian feel any danger. After killing that Duan Lingtian, you must destroy his body and remove all traces. This way, even if someone recognizes him and sees him enter the restaurant, as long as there is no evidence left, even the dean of the Hidden Fog Academy can't directly deal with our Chong family. This is a good opportunity. Maybe today, our Chong family can completely eliminate this hidden danger." Chong Er's words were very cautious. At the same time, from his tone, it was obvious that he regarded Duan Lingtian as a great enemy of the Chong family. After listening to Chong Er's message, Chong Keki's eyes completely lit up. At the same time, he repeatedly passed on Chong Er's message to Chong Si. At the same time, Chong Si answered and asked his subordinates. When he found out that the sturdy old man next to Duan Lingtian wanted a private room, he immediately called the manservant who served Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian to the front. "Go and look for the old man and the young man you served earlier. Tell them there's a private room and they can move in. Tell them you're the one who fought for the room for them, as an apology for not arranging a private room for them." In fact, this excuse was very far-fetched. However, Chong Si felt that as long as Duan Lingtian didn't know that this restaurant belonged to the Chong family, he wouldn't be suspicious. And it turned out that Chong Si's guess was right. Duan Lingtian indeed didn't suspect anything. Even Tang Chun, who was next to Duan Lingtian, didn't suspect anything. Ling Tian wore Reverend Peeling Tian wore Reverend 24520 Dextulp. Chapter 3661. Duan Lingtian and Tang Chun sat in the private room. Seeing that the waiter had helped them get a private room, Tang Chun did not ask the waiter to bring in the remaining half of the food and wine outside. Instead, he ordered another table of food and wine. "Thank you, sir." Seeing that Tang Chun was so generous, the waiter bowed and thanked him. Then he turned around and prepared to leave. "Sir, please wait a moment. I will go to the kitchen and ask them to serve you another table of food and wine." After the waiter left, Tang Chun continued to chat with Duan Lingtian. "Duan Lingtian, do you have a partner? I have a little niece who is pretty and beautiful, if you are interested." Before Tang Chun could finish, Duan Lingtian had already interrupted him. "Elder Tang Chun, I already have a wife and children." At this moment, Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. He did not expect that Tang Chun, who had been talking with him about other things a moment ago, would suddenly change the topic to this point and start to play matchmaker. Actually, it is normal for a capable man to have several wives and concubines. Tang Chun obviously did not intend to let Duan Lingtian go so easily. "Elder Tang Chun, you really don't need to." In the end, Duan Lingtian insisted that Tang Chun give up on introducing a partner to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, the person that fourth elder Zhong sent to the Chong family also got the array disc and rushed back to the restaurant immediately. At the same time, the second master of the Chong family, Chong Heir, was also on his way to the restaurant. "Let's set up the array first." The person that fourth elder Zhong sent to the Chong family to get the array disc was an old man, who was also a capable subordinate of fourth elder Zhong. If Duan Lingtian saw him, he would definitely find him familiar. This was because when Duan Lingtian, Duan Xiaoyu, and Yu Qiushuan were in the private room at the Zhou family's auction, this old man had entered the private room with the people of the Zhou family's auction. The array disc that fourth elder Zhong sent back to the Chong family to get was one of the Chong family's heirlooms. It could be used to set up an extremely ingenious divine array, and the function of this divine array was to block communication. Within the divine array, no messages could be sent out. "Duan Lingtian, you will die today." When Chong Si took the disc array to arrange the array formation, Chong Kuchi's eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. In his opinion, Duan Lingtian would definitely die under the Chong family's arrangement today. A month ago, when he learned that Duan Lingtian had obtained more than 120,000 points in the 10-star student trial, despair had even risen in his heart. He felt that his life was destined to be dark if he had to face such an enemy, unless he could make the other party die prematurely and be unable to grow. It was also at that time that the Chong family behind him became determined to kill Duan Lingtian. However, although the Chong family wanted to kill Duan Lingtian, they also knew that as long as Duan Lingtian didn't leave the Hidden Fog Academy, and when he left the Hidden Fog Academy, the Chong family would never succeed. But this time, Duan Lingtian suddenly left the Hidden Fog Academy and appeared in the Chong family's restaurant without the Hidden Fog Academy's teachers. This was undoubtedly an opportunity for the Chong family, a chance to kill Duan Lingtian. With the talent and strength that Duan Lingtian had shown, once he grew up in the future, he would definitely be a big threat to the Chong family. The Chong family wanted to kill him even in their dreams. Now that the opportunity had come, the Chong family naturally wouldn't miss it. "Fourth uncle, is everything ready?" Chong Kuchi's eyes suddenly brightened when he saw Chong Si return with his people. "Yes." Chong Si nodded with a smile and then asked, "Why aren't those little guys with you? They haven't left yet, right?" "No." Chong Kuchi shook his head. "I arranged for them to stay in the private room where we ate today, and I didn't tell them what I was going to do. I just said that I had something to do, and told them to wait for me in the private room." "Well done." Chong Si nodded with appreciation. "Now we just need to wait for your father to come with another array disc, and set up the array to seal Duan Lingtian's private room. Once the second array is set up, it will be even safer. At that time, we'll be able to make our move and kill Duan Lingtian. We'll be able to solve this problem for our Zhong clan." As Chong Si finished speaking, his eyes were filled with kindness. Chong Kuchi's face was slightly flushed with excitement, but then he smiled brightly. They say that dreams are the opposite of reality, and now it seems that it is true. In the past few days he had many similar dreams. In the dream, Duan Lingtian destroyed the Chong family and killed him with his own hands. Every time, he would wake up in fright. In the past few days, he didn't dare to sleep, and had been cultivating more seriously than usual. The second master of the Chong family, Chong Heir, as Chong Kuchi's biological father, looked somewhat similar to Chong Kuchi, but his temperament was completely different. Chong Kuchi was more like a child. Chong Heir, on the other hand, exuded a mature and wise aura. At a glance, one could tell that his identity was not ordinary. Father. Seeing the arrival of Chong Heir, Chong Kuchi's eyes lit up, and at the same time, he greeted him with a smile. "You're here?" Chong Heir nodded to Chong Kuchi, and a rare smile appeared on his originally calm and indifferent face. "Kuchi, this time, thanks to your timely discovery. Otherwise, our Chong family would have lost an opportunity to kill Duan Lingtian. Now, which private room is Duan Lingtian and the people around him in?" After learning from Chong Kuchi and Chong Si that Duan Lingtian was in the private room, Chong Heir's eyes flashed with killing intent. "Did you check the cultivation of the old man beside him?" "No." Chong Si shook his head. "Second brother, we don't have a god king among us, so we don't dare to rashly use our divine consciousness to check the people around Duan Lingtian. It's not a good thing to act rashly and alert the enemy and scare them away. And you've done well." Chong Heir nodded approvingly. Then he raised his hand, and a formation plate flew out. In an instant, a formation extended and enveloped the private room, causing the entire room to tremble. At this moment, even Duan Lingtian and Tang Chun in the private room sensed the abnormality in the private room. Just as Tang Chun frowned and did not have time to scan the room with his divine consciousness, the door of the private room was slammed open by a huge force with a bang. Following that, 4 figures walked in from outside, 2 in front and 2 behind. Their speed was not fast, and their movements were nothing special, but at this moment they were eye-catching. To be more precise, they attracted the attention of Duan Lingtian and Tang Chun. Chong Kuchi. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian recognized Chong Kuchi, who was also a 10-star student from the Hidden Fog Academy. Then, he noticed the old man standing next to Chong Kuchi, who was standing behind the 2 middle-aged men looked familiar. It was as though he had seen him before, but he could not recall where he had seen him. However, just because Duan Lingtian could not remember, it did not mean that the old man could not remember. The moment the old man behind Chong Heir saw Duan Lingtian's face, his pupil shrank sharply, and then his expression changed dramatically. Wasn't this purple-clad young man the same young man he saw in the 9th private room of the Zhou family's auction, when the Divine Emperor grade cultivation method was auctioned off? At that time, he went to that private room mainly to investigate the other party's background. That was because the other party had forcibly won the Jia, Yi, and Bing San Divine Pellet that the 4th master of the Chong family wanted. Because of that, the 4th master of the Chong family felt that the other party did not give him and the Chong family face. So he wanted to investigate the other party's background and wait until the auction was over to take revenge, or even forcibly take back the Jia, Yi, and Bing San Divine Pellet. At that time, he followed the people of the Zhou family's auction into the private room. At that time, there was not only the purple-clad young man in the room, but also a young girl who seemed to be very close to him, and a beautiful woman who was sitting beside her. At first, he did not take the young girl and the beautiful woman seriously. Later, when the second elder of the Thousand Demon sect, Han Ligong, a high-level divine king, spoke rudely to the young girl, and was almost killed by the beautiful woman, a group of people, including him, realized that the beautiful woman was a divine emperor expert, and the young girl beside her was called Miss by her, so her status must be very high too. After the young girl and the beautiful woman left, many people started to look for the purple-clad young man who had won the Jia, Yi, and Bing San Divine Pellet. They all wanted to be friends with him, so that they could establish a relationship with the young girl and the beautiful woman. Based on the young girl and the beautiful woman's behavior, they were at least from a top divine emperor force, or even from an emperor force. However, the young girl and the beautiful woman had left a long time ago, so they all wanted to make friends with the young man whose voice they had only heard before. However, they did not find the young man. Other than the person who had gone to the Zhou family's auction to collect money from the young man, he was the only one who knew what the young man looked like. However, he had never thought that he would see the young man again at this time and place. Why is he here? The old man's heart skipped a beat, and his expression changed slightly. He subconsciously looked at the old man beside Duan Lingtian. Now Duan Lingtian was looking at them calmly. The old man was also looking at them, but his eyes were filled with indifference and disgust. Duan Lingtian. Chong Keki stood behind Chong Er. He looked at Duan Lingtian and coldly smiled. I didn't think you would be so bold. You actually dared to leave the academy, moreover. You don't even have a teacher by your side. Tell me, if you die here today, will the academy find out that it was me who did it? Chong Keki's sneer deepened, and there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. You want to kill me? Duan Lingtian glanced at Chong Keki. Then, he looked at Chong Er, and Chong Er standing in front of him. Or, is it your Chong family that wants to kill me? Chong family? At the same time, Tang Chun, who was sitting beside Duan Lingtian, also had a gloomy expression. The Chong family wanted to kill Duan Lingtian in front of him, an inner sect elder of the Hidden Fog sect. Chapter 3662. You are Duan Lingtian? Chong Er's eyes fell on Duan Lingtian as he nodded. Talent and comprehension are a must, and you are a man of striking appearance. If you were willing to join our Chong family, it would be beneficial to both you and the Chong family. Unfortunately, I heard that you refused our invitation, and even slaughtered all of our Chong family's disciples in the Hidden Mist Academy's 10-star trial ground. Do you have anything to say before you die? Chong Er looked at Duan Lingtian indifferently as he spoke unhurriedly. Just now when he came in, he used his divine sense to scan Duan Lingtian and the old man beside him. He confirmed that Duan Lingtian was an intermediate god, and that the old man beside Duan Lingtian was a superior god. Because of this, he no longer had any concerns. Under the obstruction of the Chong family's 2 array discs, not to mention 2 gods, even 2 superior god kings would not be able to send out a message. In other words, today, even if the Chong family killed the person in front of them, as long as they did it cleanly, no one would know what happened here. Die. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly, then his eyes narrowed as he asked bluntly, Who are you? The head of the Chong family? Humph. Before Chong Er could speak, his son Chong Keki spoke first. Duan Lingtian, this is my father, the second master of the Chong family, Chong Er. And this one beside my father is my 4th uncle, the 4th master of the Chong family, Chong Er. Chong Er? Chong Er? Duan Lingtian glanced at the 2 middle-aged men in front of him. Then his eyes fell on Chong Er, as a trace of ridicule appeared at the corner of his mouth. Speaking of which, 4th Master Chong of the Chong family had long interacted with him. Not long after he came to Tianfeng City, even before he entered the Hidden Mist Academy, he had bid for an item at the Zhou family's auction. The Jia Yi and Bing San Divine Pill was bought by this Chong heir from the Chong family. At that time, only the 2 of them were left competing. Chong heir? Level 4? Tang Chun, who was standing beside Duan Lingtian, sneered. The Chong family is really impressive. However, Zhong Er and Zhong Er completely ignored Tang Chun's sneer. In their eyes, Tang Chun was merely a useless senior of Duan Lingtian, a mere higher deity. They could easily kill someone like him countless times over. Zhong Er had already stepped into the Divine King realm in his early years. Even Zhong Si had also successfully stepped into the Divine King realm a few days ago, becoming a lower Divine King. 2nd Master Chong? 4th Master Zhong? A hint of mockery could be seen on the corner of Duan Lingtian's mouth, as he looked at the 2 of them mockingly. I wonder if it's the both of you, or the Zhong clan's intention to kill me. I can represent the Zhong family. Zhong Er said indifferently, although he did not know why Duan Lingtian was still so calm. He believed that he had the situation under control. Therefore he was not worried at all. The moment Zhong Er finished speaking, Chong Er, who was standing beside him, suddenly trembled. In the next moment, when his eyes fell on Duan Lingtian again, They were filled with shock and fear. His face was pale as if he had seen a ghost. And the reason why he had such a change in the blink of an eye was entirely because the old man behind him had just transmitted a message to him. The Duan Lingtian in front of him was the person who had competed with him for the Jia, Yi, and Bing San Divine Pill at the Zhou family's auction. At that time, when Duan Lingtian had stolen the Jia, Yi, and Bing San Divine Pill, he was furious. He swore to himself that he would not let Duan Lingtian off. However, the beautiful woman who had walked out of the 9th private room had displayed her strength as a godly emperor and had crushed the second elder of the 10,000 demon sect, a godly emperor-level sect. He couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. At the same time, he knew that the person who didn't give him face and took away the 3 divine pellet wasn't someone he could afford to offend. Although he did not know the relationship between that person and the beautiful woman, he did not know. According to the old man behind him, the young lady whom the beautiful woman had addressed as Miss was very intimate with the young man in room 9. It was as if they were siblings. From that moment on, he knew that he could not afford to offend Duan Lingtian. After that, the beautiful woman and the young lady, who had the strength of a divine emperor, left. Only the young man did not leave. His first thought was not to take revenge on Duan Lingtian, but to befriend him. At that time, there were many people who had the same idea as him. However, they could not find the young man in the end. Chongxi thought that since the people around him had seen the young man, they would have an advantage in finding him and befriending him. Therefore, he asked the old man to look for the young man's whereabouts. However, they did not find anything. Today, when they were facing Duan Lingtian, a prodigy from the Hidden Fog Academy, who was a great threat to the Chong family, the old man behind him told him that Duan Lingtian was the purple-clad young man in room 9 of the Zhou family's auction. He had seen him before. Chongxi repeatedly confirmed this with the old man through sound transmission. However, the old man was very certain. Master Chongxi, I can't be wrong. His clothes, his appearance, and his temperament are all the same. Chongxi felt a chill run down his spine. When he looked at the purple-clad young man's playful expression again, his heart trembled. Duan Lingtian, you've asked enough questions. Get ready to go. Chongqi, who was standing behind Chongxi, sneered as he looked at Duan Lingtian with killing intent in his eyes. Duan Lingtian looked at Chongqi deeply, but he did not say anything. At this time Tang Chun, who was next to Duan Lingtian, stood up at the right time, his eyes flashing with coldness. At the same time, Chongxi also sent a message to Chongxi, telling him that Duan Lingtian was the person in room 9 of the Zhou family's auction. Chongxi was shocked. He never thought that the 2 people would be the same person. See, are you sure? Chongxi asked again. Second brother, I'm sure it's him. Chongxi responded. What should we do now? We, and even the Chong family, seem to have become enemies with him. Pretend you don't know. Chongxi's pupil shrank, and he soon made a decision. He and the people around him are all gods. Even if he dies here, as long as we block the news, no one will know that it was us who did it. Second brother. Chongqi's friends noticed that Chongqi was acting strangely today. Chongxi reminded him. After killing Duan Lingtian and the old man around him, kill all those people to prevent future trouble. Chongxi said decisively. Okay. Zhongxi's eyes also flashed with a hint of firmness and determination. Perhaps the purple-clothed young man's background was indeed not something that their Zhong clan could afford to offend, but now that their Zhong clan had already formed an irreconcilable enmity with him, there was no way that they would let him go. Once he left, he might send a message to a group of powerhouses to destroy the Chong family. But now the other party was like a trapped beast in a cage. Even if the other party was related to a godly emperor, or even a godly emperor, after killing him, the other party wouldn't be able to find out the cause of his death. If they did not kill the purple-clad young man, the Chong family would most likely be destroyed. If they killed the purple-clad young man, the Chong family would most likely be able to survive. It was not difficult to make a choice in such a situation. Just as Chongxi and Chongxi looked at Duan Lingtian again with killing intent in their eyes, A cold snort suddenly exploded in the room, like a clap of thunder. It was none other than Tang Chun, who had just stood up. Good, 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 very good. Tang Chun's eyes were like lightning as he stared at Chong Si. His complexion was extremely ugly. The Chong family is truly amazing. Amazing. A mere God King level family actually dares to try and kill a hidden fog sect inner sect disciple in front of me? You, and even the Chong family, have really eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. Tang Chun was truly enraged. For better or worse, he was an inner sect elder of the hidden fog sect. The reason he came to Skywind City was to pick up Duan Lingtian, an outstanding Hidden Fog Academy student recommended by Dean Morong Suifeng, to participate in the core disciple assessment. Even if he couldn't pass the assessment, Duan Lingtian was still a quasi-inner sect disciple of the Hidden Fog Academy. It was just that the procedures hadn't been completed yet. Hidden Fog sect inner sect disciple? Hearing Tang Chun's words, Chong Si and the others were stunned. Then, Chong Keki sneered and said, "Old man, are you still dreaming that Duan Lingtian can become an inner sect disciple of the Hidden Fog sect? How laughable. Today Duan Lingtian, and even you will die here. Once you die, no matter how outstanding you are, it is impossible for you to pass the Hidden Fog Academy and enter the Hidden Fog sect, let alone become an inner sect disciple." Chong Keki sneered. Chong Si and Chong Si also had cold smiles on their faces. As for the old man behind Chong Si, his eyes flashed with uncertainty. Although Chong Si had just told him about his choice with the Chong family's second master, he still wasn't sure. This was because he had seen the beautiful woman with the strength of a divine emperor and the young girl beside Duan Lingtian at the Zhou family's auction. At that time, the beautiful woman had been sitting to the side, as if she were the servant of the young girl and Duan Lingtian. That scene was something that only he, who had seen it with his own eyes, could clearly feel. He always felt that in this situation, it was unwise to try and kill Duan Lingtian. It would be better to bend down and apologize. Even if he had to pay a certain price, even if he couldn't protect Chong Keki, he should be able to protect the Chong family. After Duan Lingtian dies, I should leave the Chong family, the old man thought to himself. He always felt uneasy in his heart. The Chong family really has good upbringing. Even a junior dares to be so presumptuous in front of me. Tang Chun sneered. Even Chong Si himself has to bow respectfully when he sees me. Chapter 3663. As soon as Tang Chun spoke, Chong Keki was stunned. This old man. Even his uncle had to bow and greet him respectfully when he saw him? Chong Keki did not even have time to react. Upon hearing Tang Chun's words, before Chong Keki could react, Chong Keki sneered. "Old man, you're just a higher deity. How dare you spout such nonsense in front of us? Aren't you afraid that we'll laugh our heads off?" Chong Keki could not help but laugh. "You're just a higher deity. If I want to kill you, it'll be as easy as flipping my hand." As soon as Chong Keki finished speaking, a majestic divine power burst out of his body, exuding a majestic and vast aura that caused the atmosphere in the room to stagnate. The aura of this divine power was completely different from that of a deity. Upon sensing this aura, Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. Isn't this Chong Keki a higher deity? This divine power aura is not something a higher deity can possess. He broke through and became a god king? Before Duan Lingtian entered the Hidden Fog Academy, he had heard many people at the Zhou clan's auction mention Chong Keki's cultivation. He knew that Chong Keki was a higher deity with extraordinary strength. But now, the faint divine power emanating from Chong Keki's body clearly did not belong to a deity. Oh, Chong Keki has also broken through and become a god king? Tang Chun smirked when he sensed Chong Keki's divine power aura. But I'm curious. Where did you get the confidence to think that you can kill me with a flip of your hand? Chong Keki's mocking smile deepened. Since you know that I've broken through and become a god king, you're just a higher deity. Yet you think I can't kill you with a flip of my hand? Chong Keki, who was following behind Chong Keki, also had a mocking expression on his face. Old man, if you kneel down and beg for mercy now, my fourth uncle might be merciful and leave you an intact corpse. Tang Chun didn't pay attention to this junior Chongqi. He looked at Zhongxi and smiled. When did a lower divine king become so presumptuous in front of me, Tang Chun? As soon as Tang Chun's voice fell, Zhongxi didn't feel anything. But Zhong couldn't help but frown slightly. This was because he felt that the name Tang Chun was somewhat familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere before. However, even though he had an impression of it, he couldn't recall it at all. Whoosh! Just as Zhong was frowning slightly, an even more powerful divine aura swept out from Tang Chun's body. In fact, the moment it appeared, it suppressed Zhong divine aura in one fell swoop. Even Zhongxi's expression changed drastically when he sensed the aura of this divine power. Even his big brother, the head of the Zhong family, didn't have such a powerful aura when he activated his godly power. One had to know that his big brother was a medium god king. Hi divine king. When Zhong looked at Tang Chun again, his expression was extremely unsightly. He did not expect the burly old man in front of him to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. He wasn't a higher deity at all. Instead, he was a higher deity king. Only a higher divine king's divine power aura could be so powerful. In the realms of gods, there was no lack of treasures that could conceal one's cultivation base. However, such treasures rarely appeared in Tianfeng City or the surrounding areas. Even if there were, very few people would use them. In this world where the strong were respected, it was too late to show off one's strength. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would intentionally conceal their cultivation base. However, today he just so happened to meet such a person, a higher divine king, who had concealed his cultivation base. At this moment, not only did Zhong expression turn unsightly, but even Zhongxi's expression changed drastically. Although he had just broken through to become a god king, he knew what his big brother's divine power aura was like. The person in front of him had completely surpassed his big brother's divine power aura. The other party was a higher divine king. Zhongxi's expression turned extremely unsightly when he recalled how he had threatened the other party earlier. He did not expect the person he had provoked to be a higher divine king instead of a higher divine king. At this moment, Zhongxi despaired. My lord. Zhongxi looked at Tang Chun, his voice trembling violently from fear. I was just joking earlier. Please don't take it to heart. Joking? Tang Chun sneered. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? When Zhongxi heard this, his body trembled again. His face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with despair. At the same time, he instinctively looked at Zhong beside him, and hurriedly transmitted his voice to him. Second brother, save me. He did not think that even his second brother would be able to save him. After all, based on the background of the young lady, and the beautiful woman, who had been with Duan Lingtian earlier, Duan Lingtian was at least from a divine emperor force. The higher divine king by Duan Lingtian's side was definitely an expert from that divine emperor force. He had already given up all hope. He felt that there was an 80% to 90% chance that he would die. However, in the face of death, he still subconsciously reached out his hand and grabbed Zhong as if he was grasping at a straw. At this moment, Chongqi, who was standing behind Zhong was also pale with fright. After his body trembled for a while, he slumped to the ground, and the smell of urine rose from his body. Higher divine king. The person he had just mocked was actually a higher divine king? Because he was close to his father Zhong he had clearly heard Zhong trembling voice. It was because of this that he knew that the other party was a higher divine king. Zhong face was also ashen. However, when he thought of the name that the other party had just said, a light flashed in his mind. He subconsciously looked at Tang Chun and cupped his hands in respect. Senior, are you the Hidden Fog Sect's elder Tang Chun? He remembered. Last time, an elder of his Zhong family who was in the Hidden Fog Sect had returned to the family and mentioned the name Tang Chun. It seemed that this elder didn't have a good relationship with Tang Chun, but they were both inner sect elders of the Hidden Fog Sect. Moreover, they were both from the Hidden Fog Sect's Skywind City. They didn't like each other, but they couldn't do anything to each other. Without any hesitation, as he asked Tang Chun, Zhong hurriedly used the soul bead in his storage ring to send a message to his big brother, the Zhong family patriarch Zhong Heir. He informed Zhong Heir of everything that had happened here. At this moment, not only did Zhong Heir remove the formation disc he had brought with him, but he also had his fourth brother remove the formation disc. He had sent someone to the Chong family to retrieve the formation disc he had set up. With the two array disbanded, the transmission of messages was no longer restricted. After sending a message to his big brother, Zhong Heir hurriedly reminded him, "Big brother, hurry up and contact the patriarch. Have the patriarch send a message to Elder Tang Chun. Tell him to spare me, fourth brother, and cheer. This time, only the patriarch can save us." The Zhong family's patriarch was Zhong Heir and Zhong Heir's grandfather's father. He had a very high status in the Zhong family, and he was also the one with the best status in the Hidden Fog sect. Zhong Heir never thought that his second brother, fourth brother, and nephew would provoke a character like Tang Chun. He didn't dare to be negligent. He hurriedly sent out a message through a soul bead. In the entire Zhong family, only the patriarch had the Zhong family's patriarch's soul bead. Only Zhong Heir could contact the Zhong family's patriarch. In a restaurant belonging to the Zhong family, inside a private room, under the leadership of Zhong Heir, Zhong Si, Zhong Keki, and even the old man behind Zhong Si were kneeling on the ground, their bodies shivering. "Elder Tang Chun, we didn't recognize you and offended you. This is our fault. We hope that you can take into account our ignorance and spare our lives for the sake of our patriarch." Zhong Heir knelt on the ground, his tone sincere as he spoke. "What? You won't kill me now?" Tang Chun looked at Zhong Si and sneered. "Elder Tang Chun, please spare my life." Zhong Si's kneeling body violently trembled. Then he began to beg for mercy. "What were you doing earlier?" Tang Chun sneered. A cold light flashed in his eyes. The aura of God force around his body began to shake. A terrifying strength began to stir in this small private room. Tang Chun was a higher God king. But today someone wanted to kill him. Moreover, it was only a small lower God king. How could he endure this? If his strength was inferior to this person's today, wouldn't he have been killed? "Elder Tang Chun, please spare my life." After Zhong Si sensed Tang Chun's killing intent, he hurriedly kowtowed and begged for mercy. He didn't even realize that he was bleeding. Duan Ling Tian remained seated in front of the table as he watched the scene in front of him. In his opinion, the Zhong clan only had themselves to blame for ending up in such a state. They actually dared to threaten to kill him in front of Tang Chun, an inner sect elder of the Hidden Fog sect. Moreover, they even threatened to kill Tang Chun. They were simply seeking their own deaths. However, I fear that today, Elder Tang Chun will at most kill those who offended him. As for the Zhong family, even if Elder Tang Chun can testify that the Zhong family wants to kill me, it is impossible for the Hidden Fog sect to do anything to the Zhong family, just because I am an inner sect disciple. In fact, even if I am a core disciple, as long as the Zhong family doesn't leave behind any evidence, the Hidden Fog sect won't be able to do anything to the Zhong family. After all, the Zhong family has several inner sect elders, and no less than 20 outer sect elders in the Hidden Fog sect. When he was at Hidden Fog Academy, Duan Lingtian had learned about the Zhong family from Ding Yan and Ho Qingming. He knew that the Zhong family had a deep background. Even within the Hidden Fog sect, they had many complicated hard relationships. Thus, Duan Lingtian knew that the Zhong family wouldn't be so easy to bring down. If he wanted to bring down the Zhong family, he would have to rely on himself. However, as he thought about how he would be able to watch the 3 people from the Zhong family die today, he couldn't help but feel joy in his heart. He didn't feel any pity at all. After all, these people wanted to kill him. Chapter 3664. Duan Lingtian would not show mercy to those who wanted to kill him. Therefore, he looked at everything in front of him indifferently. Boom! Rumble! Tang Chun's divine power swept out, fused with ultimates, and his momentum was vast as if it could pierce through the void. His aura was completely locked on to Chong Si. In Tang Chun's eyes, there was a murderous intent. Even Duan Lingtian, who was sitting to the side, could feel the murderous intent from Tang Chun. It was because of this that he felt that the three from the Chong family were unlucky. However, just as Tang Chun's divine power vibrated and was about to make a move, his divine power aura suddenly stagnated and was forcibly held back. To be more precise, he held back a lot. Bang! Accompanied by a soft sound, Tang Chun withdrew most of his divine power and withdrew his ultimates and hit Chong Si's body, sending him flying and crashing into the wall on the side of the box. Chong Si's body fell, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, but there was a relieved smile on his face. "Thank you, Elder Tang Chun, for not killing me." Seeing this, Chong Er's eyes lit up. Just as Heavy Two's eyes lit up, Tang Chun's divine power once again extended and hit Heavy Two's body, causing Heavy Two to fly out and hit the wall and fall to the ground. Chong Kuchi's cultivation was much weaker than Chong Si's. Even if Tang Chun controlled his divine power well, he was still seriously injured, and he kept spitting out mouthfuls of dazzling blood. "Unfilial son, why don't you thank Elder Tang Chun for not killing you?" Chong Er looked at Chong Kuchi and shouted sternly. Chong Kuchi came back to his senses and hurriedly thanked Tang Chun. "Thank you, Elder Tang Chun, for not killing me." At the same time, Chong Er glanced at Duan Lingtian from the corner of his eyes, and the joy of surviving a disaster in his heart disappeared. When Tang Chun stopped the assassin in time, and only injured his fourth brother, he knew that the old master of the Chong family must have contacted Tang Chun and persuaded him to spare his fourth brother, and even him and his son. Otherwise, with Tang Chun's killing intent just now, not to mention him and his son Chong Kuchi, his fourth brother Chong Si would definitely die. However, although their lives were saved, the joy that had just risen in his heart was completely extinguished the moment he saw Duan Lingtian. Even if they did not die today, Duan Lingtian would not let them go. Thinking of this, he could not help but feel his scalp go numb. Bang! With another loud bang, Zhong Er's body also flew off the ground and smashed into the wall. He was injured, but he didn't care about this injury. After thanking Tang Chun for not killing him, he hurriedly sent a message to his elder brother, the head of the Zhong family. "Big brother, even if we survive now, I'm afraid this Duan Lingtian will be our end." At this point, Chong Er recounted everything that Chong Si had told him to his big brother Chong Er. What? When Big Brother learned that Duan Lingtian was the young man suspected to be from a God Emperor or God Emperor level force, his expression changed instantly. How could this be? He couldn't figure it out at all. Wasn't the other party just a student of the Hidden Fog Academy? Why did he suddenly have such an identity? Is there a mistake? If he has such a background, why did he enter the Hidden Fog Academy and the Hidden Fog sect? Big Brother questioned. "I don't know. Big Brother, what should we do now? I have already opened the array that seals the communication. Maybe he has already sent a message to the God Emperor level or God Emperor level force behind him about what happened here. Why don't we take a risk and let the old master send a message to Elder Tang Chun and ask Elder Tang Chun to let us kill him to prevent future trouble? If he hasn't sent a message, we have won the bet," Chong Er said. That's enough time for him to slowly send a message to the others. However, Big Brother rejected Chong Er's idea. "Next, you should try your best to seek his forgiveness. For such a person, it's better not to make enemies if possible. If he is willing to resolve the grudges, our Chong family is willing to pay the price. Even if he asks for an exorbitant price, as long as our Chong family has the ability, we are willing to satisfy him." Big Brother's tone revealed a deep helplessness. From now on, our Chong family can no longer be enemies with him. He didn't know which God Emperor or God Emperor level force Duan Lingtian belonged to. However, he did have a close relationship with a girl that his fourth brother's confidant saw with his own eyes. His fourth brother's confidant was an old man in the Chong family, so it was impossible for him to lie. There was also no need for him to lie. That wasn't the main point. The main point was that the girl who was close to Duan Lingtian and looked like Duan Lingtian's brother had been respectfully addressed as young miss by a God Emperor expert. It was obvious that she was his follower. Only the princesses of the top God Emperor level forces or the children of the upper echelons of God Emperor level forces, would be able to have a God Emperor as their follower. Such a person only needed to say a word to topple the Chong family and erase their name from the profound Handle land. I originally thought that Elder Tang Chun would kill them. At the very least, he would kill a level 4. I didn't expect that he didn't even kill a single one of them. Duan Ling Tian sat at the side and watched everything before him with an indifferent gaze. Tang Chun didn't kill the 3 people in front of him. However, he had clearly seen Tang Chun stop in time. It wasn't hard to guess that Tang Chun had received a message and didn't kill the 3 people from the Chong family for some reason. This time, I won't kill all of you because of Chong Tianqing. However, if you dare to disrespect me again, I won't show any mercy even if Chong Tianqing pleads for mercy on your behalf. Tang Chun said in a low voice after injuring the 3 people from the Chong family. He sat back down and stared coldly at the 3 people from the Chong family. The 3 people from the Chong family hurriedly replied that there wouldn't be a next time. Also, you wanted to kill Duan Lingtian just now? Tang Chun glanced at the 3 people and said, if I'm not mistaken, you want to kill Duan Lingtian on behalf of the Chong family. Elder Tang Chun, you heard wrong. How could we kill Duan Lingtian? When Chong Si and Chong Keki were stunned, Chong Er hurriedly waved his hand and shook his head. Our Chong family respects young Master Duan Lingtian as an honored guest. If that's the case, why don't you apologize to Duan Lingtian? Tang Chun said in a low voice. When Duan Lingtian heard Tang Chun's words, he knew that the Chong family's attempt to kill him today was destined to go unresolved. If he wanted to get back at them today, he could only rely on himself in the future. It was impossible for him to rely on Tang Chun. Of course, he didn't resent Tang Chun because of this. After all, he didn't have a close relationship with Tang Chun. Tang Chun had already done his utmost for the Chong family to apologize to him. Tang Chun had no obligation to help him further. However, when Chong Si and Chong Kuchi were about to apologize to Duan Lingtian, Chong Er beat them to it. He cupped his hands together and said respectfully, young Master Duan, my elder brother, the clan leader of the Chong clan, asked me to tell you that no matter what misunderstandings there are between you and the Chong clan wishes to write off all misunderstandings between you and the Chong clan. For this, our Chong family is willing to pay any price we can. Chong Er said. Chong Keki couldn't understand Chong Er's words and couldn't help but frown. Even Tang Chun was now stunned. He just asked the other party to apologize to Duan Lingtian. But he didn't expect the other party to make such a statement. Didn't they understand his words? He said that they only needed to apologize. Did the Chong family have too many treasures? However, at this moment, even Duan Lingtian himself did not expect number 2 to express such a stance. Moreover, number 4 and the old man behind him were not surprised when they saw the expressions of the other 3 people beside number 2. Only Chong Er's son, Chong Keki, was surprised. Obviously, Chong Si and the old man behind him agreed with Chong Er's words and didn't have any objections. This was thought-provoking. That's right. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian's eyes swept over the old man behind Chong Si, and a thought flashed in his mind. The old man's appearance overlapped with a face in his memory. He remembered. In the past, before he entered the Hidden Fog Academy, he and Duan Xiaoyu had sat together in Box 9 of the Zhou family's auction house. After bidding for the first, second, and third divine pills, someone from the Zhou family had sent the pills over. Normally, it would be enough for the other party to send the pills over alone. However, the other party wasn't alone. There was another person behind him, and it was an old man. At that time he found it strange, but he didn't think much of it. He just thought it was a strange rule of the Zhou family's auction house. But now he remembered. The old man he saw in Box 9 of the Zhou family's auction house, and the old man standing behind Chong Si were the same person. It seems that his appearance in Box 9 wasn't a coincidence. Chong Si must have asked him to come over and see who I am. After all, I snatched the divine pill that Chong Si wanted in front of everyone and embarrassed him. He remembered that when he snatched the first, second, and third divine pills from Chong Si was furious. At that time, many people said that Chong Si was vengeful, and that he was unlucky. However, he also knew in his heart that Chongxi would be vengeful. Later, when the beautiful woman next to the mysterious girl, Duan Xiaoyu, walked out of Box 9 and displayed her strength as a god emperor, Chongxi would definitely not dare to take revenge on him. No wonder he noticed that the old man behind Chongxi looked at him strangely. Apparently, the old man recognized him. With all these reasons, he wasn't surprised that the second master of the Chong family was acting so humble. The Chong family obviously wanted to make peace with him and didn't dare to provoke him. As for the reason, it was because of the mysterious girl, Duan Xiaoyu. Back then, when the old man behind Chongxi saw him in Box 9 of the Zhou family's auction house, Duan Xiaoyu was sitting next to him and holding his hand intimately. She even called him brother. War Sovereign Ling Tian. Chapter 3665. If the old man behind Chongxi did not feel anything when he first saw Duan Xiaoyu sitting next to him and affectionately calling him big brother. However, after Yu Qiushuan, the beautiful woman who addressed Duan Xiaoyu as young miss, made a move, the old man must have felt that both Duan Xiaoyu and him were not ordinary people. If you want to read the entire edition for free, please go to Baidu search. What a joke! How could an ordinary person have the protection of a godly emperor? How could an ordinary person have the protection of a godly emperor address them as big brother? However, this old man must have discovered my identity before this. Previously, he had already recognized my identity, so he must have told Chongxi and Chong'er. Soon, Duan Lingtian thought of something very important. At that time, Chongxi and Chongxi still chose to kill me. It's obvious that they want to kill me here. As for why they're not afraid of me sending a message, it must be because they've set up a formation. No wonder I felt strange movements in the surrounding space 4 times in a row. So it's because of the formation's activation. Duan Lingtian was skilled in the law of space. Coupled with his mastery of the Tao of control of the 4 Taos of heaven and earth, his control of space had reached an extremely profound level. Even if he could not sense it, he could still detect the minute changes in the surrounding space. That formation must be a formation that restricts communication. In other words, when they found out about my identity, they already planned to kill me because I was trapped at that time and could not send a message at all. However, they would never have dreamed that Elder Tang Chun was a godly king expert, and a higher godly king at that. Not long after arriving at this restaurant, Duan Lingtian had inadvertently extended his divine consciousness. When it came into contact with Tang Chun, he discovered that Tang Chun's cultivation base was only at the godly spirit level and not the godly king level. Although he was only at the intermediate godly spirit level, his divine consciousness could still vaguely detect the cultivation base of a higher godly spirit. It was also at that time that he asked Tang Chun this question. Tang Chun told him that when he went out, he would habitually use a secret technique to conceal his cultivation to avoid being disturbed by god kings. Unless one's actual cultivation was on par with his or stronger than him, no one would be able to see through his disguise, even if they used their divine sense to probe. Normally, such people would not disturb him because in their eyes, in this world where the strong were respected, they were on the same level. Clearly, I'm not the only one who is unable to see through Elder Tang Chun's concealment of his cultivation. Even those from the Zhong clan are unable to see through his cultivation. It didn't take long for Duan Lingtian to sort out what had happened based on his guesses. Now that Chong'er was begging for peace, it couldn't be because of Tang Chun. After all, even though 4th Zhong had offended Tang Chun didn't kill him. It was clear that Tang Chun dreaded the power behind the Zhong family. Perhaps some great figure of the Zhong family in the Hidden Fog sect had sent a message to Tang Chun. Or perhaps as long as Tang Chun showed mercy, he could obtain decent compensation. This could be faintly seen from the fact that Tang Chun only asked the Zhong family to apologize to him. Are you sure your Zhong family can withstand any price? As long as it is within your power? Tang Chun was stunned. Duan Lingtian looked deeply at Chong'er and asked. Yes. Chong'er nodded. Good. Duan Lingtian looked deeply at Chong-er and faintly smiled. Since that's the case, then I ask Master Chong-er to first show some sincerity. I don't need any other sincerity. Speaking of this, Duan Lingtian's gaze fell on Chong Keki behind Chong-er. Master Chong-er, the grudges between me and the Zhong family are all because of your son Chong Keki. I only have 2 requests for the Zhong family. The first request is that Chong Keki cannot live, Duan Lingtian said. Almost as soon as Duan Lingtian's voice fell, Chong-er and Chong Keki's expressions changed drastically. Even Chong-er's face became ugly. He couldn't help but ask, "Young Master Duan, can't you leave some leeway?" Duan Lingtian glanced at Chong-er indifferently. "When your Zhong family wanted to kill me, did you ever think of leaving some leeway?" Without waiting for Chong-er's response, Duan Lingtian looked at Chong-er and said with a mocking expression, "Master Chong-er, if the Zhong family can't even fulfill the first request, I don't think there's a need for me to make a second request." At the same time, Duan Lingtian looked at Tang Chun beside him. "Elder Tang Chun, I can't eat this meal. How about I go back to the Hidden Fog Academy and wait for you? At that time, you don't have to run to the Hidden Fog Academy. You just need to send me a message." Before leaving the Hidden Fog Academy, Duan Lingtian and Tang Chun exchanged soul beads, so they could communicate with each other. "No, I'm not eating either." Tang Chun shook his head. "Let's go back to the sect." Although Tang Chun didn't know what was going on, he knew this wasn't the time to ask Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he didn't think the Zhong family would agree to Duan Lingtian's first request. Who was Chong Keki? Although Chong Keki didn't have much of a presence in Tang Chun's eyes, he had heard of him a long time ago. He knew that Chong Keki was a crown prince of the Zhong family, and was the first candidate to succeed the Zhong family. Moreover, he was the son of Chong-er. Now that Duan Lingtian said he wanted Chong Keki's life in front of Chong-er, it was already good enough that Chong-er didn't flip out. How could he agree to Duan Lingtian's conditions? Today, even if Morong Suifeng, the vice-sect master of the Hidden Fog Academy, was here, Chong-er wouldn't agree. However, just as Duan Lingtian stood up and was about to leave with Tang Chun, a scene that shocked Tang Chun appeared. "My unfilial son has offended young Master Duan many times. He deserves to die." A roar that seemed to come from the depths of his throat rang out. In the next moment, accompanied by a bang sound, blood splattered out in the private room. A body that was originally alive completely fell to the ground, turning into a corpse. It was the Zhong family's second master, Chong-er. In front of everyone, he slapped his son Chong Keki's head and sent him away. Duan Lingtian was indifferent to the scene in front of him, because he had already guessed that this would be the outcome, and this outcome further confirmed his conjecture in his heart. Tang Chun, on the other hand, did not expect Chong-er would agree to Duan Lingtian's first request and kill his son, Chong Kechi, in front of him. Although Tang Chun had experienced a lot in his life, he could not help but feel shocked when he saw this. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, he felt as though this young man who had maintained a calm expression until now had become a stranger. "Young Master Duan." Before Chong Keki could even react, Chong-er, who had killed him, looked at Duan Lingtian again. His eyes were red, and his body was trembling because of excitement. There was obviously a terrible emotion brewing in his heart, but he didn't release it. "Please state your second request." At this moment, Chong-er's voice became hoarse. "The second request is simple." Duan Lingtian looked at Chong-er deeply again, and said unhurriedly, "That is, it depends on the sincerity of your Chong family." As Duan Lingtian spoke, he raised his left hand, and his right hand followed. His thumb and index finger pinched the storage ring on his left hand, and kept rotating it, as if he was hinting at something. Seeing this, Chong-er secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Chong-er and the old man behind him also breathed a sigh of relief. They were really worried that the second request of the young man in front of them was to take their lives. They knew very well that once Duan Lingtian made such a request, their Chong family would definitely satisfy him. After all, in the face of the survival of the huge Chong family, their lives were insignificant. Elder Tang Chun, let's go. Without waiting for Chong Er to agree, because Duan Lingtian knew that there was no need. Even Chong Keki's life was willing to be sacrificed, so the Chong family wouldn't care about some worldly possessions. Tang Chun was still in a state of shock. It wasn't until Duan Lingtian greeted him that he regained his composure. He nodded and left with Duan Lingtian. Young Master Duan, after we prepare the things, how should we give them to you? The moment Duan Lingtian stepped out of the room, Chong Er finally spoke. Have someone send them to the Hidden Fog sect. Duan Lingtian lightly said. He obviously didn't plan on going to the Chong family himself. After Duan Lingtian's back disappeared from sight, Chong Er finally couldn't take it anymore. His body shook, and he collapsed to the ground. He crawled over to Chong Keki's corpse and whispered, don't blame father, don't blame father. Father did this for the family. Don't worry, you died for the family today. The family will not forget you. You will be immortalized in the family's history for generations to come. At this time, Chong Er also arrived beside Chong Er. He patted his shoulder and said, Second brother, my condolences. In truth, you could have let me do it. The two brothers glanced at each other. They could see the resentment and helplessness in each other's eyes. At the same time, Duan Lingtian left the restaurant with Tang Chun. As they left Skywind City, Tang Chun's apologetic voice echoed in his ears. Duan Lingtian, I'm really sorry for what happened just now. Elder Tang Chun, what are you saying? Duan Lingtian shook his head. You didn't do anything wrong to me. Tang Chun wryly smiled. They tried to kill you in front of me just now. But after that I only asked them to apologize verbally. Aren't you angry? Duan Lingtian shook his head again. But this time he didn't speak. It was clear he didn't want to speak. Duan Lingtian. Seeing this, Tang Chun's wry smile deepened. Just now I was actually going to kill Chong Er. But just as I was about to do it, I received a message from the sect. The person who sent me the message was the Chong family's old master. He is also an intersect elder like me, Chong Tianqing. Chong Tianqing's strength is about the same as mine, but he is very close to a core elder. As he spoke, Tang Chun seemed to deliberately explain his helplessness. Ling Tian wore reverent. Chapter 3666. In the Hidden Fog sect, core elders were also considered intersect elders. However, ordinary intersect elders didn't have a ranking. They were only called intersect elders. Only the core elders of the inner sect had a ranking, such as the Great Elder, Second Elder, Third Elder, and so on. In the past, the person who came to Hidden Fog Academy to look for Duan Lingtian and ask him to become his disciple was the disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's Second Elder. The Hidden Fog sect's intersect Second Elder was a core elder with a relatively high status within the Hidden Fog sect. Of course, this didn't mean that the Second Elder was the strongest core elder. In the Hidden Fog sect, there were many core elders of the older generation who weren't listed in the elder ranking. But they weren't elders. Instead, they were respected as grand elders. I understand. Listening to Tang Chun's explanation, Duan Lingtian nodded. He smiled and said, Elder Tang Chun, the truth is that you don't need to explain so much. I can understand. After all, in the eyes of the sect, compared to the Zhong family, I'm nothing. As he finished speaking, the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth seemed to curl into a wisp of self-ridicule. Duan Lingtian, don't joke around. Tang Chun shook his head and said, Just now, that Zhong family member's attitude towards you changed. I am well aware that it wasn't because of me. There is someone behind you, right? As Tang Chun spoke, he looked deeply at Duan Lingtian and asked with deep meaning. In order to extinguish Duan Lingtian's anger, the Zhong family's second master Zhong Er didn't hesitate to kill his own son. Even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. To be able to force someone to kill his own son, it could be seen how determined that person was. And that person was the Zhong family's second master Zhong Er. This also meant that in Zhong Er's eyes, Duan Lingtian was someone that he and the Zhong family couldn't afford to offend. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done such a thing. And Duan Lingtian's own strength definitely wasn't enough to make the Zhong family fear him. Thus, it wasn't difficult for Tang Chun to guess. There was someone behind Duan Lingtian. Someone who could make the Chong family bow and lower their heads. In response to Tang Chun's question, Duan Lingtian only smiled. However, this smile appeared to be unfathomable in Tang Chun's eyes, further confirming his guess. But, just now they really did want to kill you. Knowing that you have an extraordinary identity, they wanted to kill you. Tang Chun did not care much about Duan Lingtian before this. Now he dared not neglect Duan Lingtian, because he already knew that Duan Lingtian had a powerful trump card behind him. It was a trump card that could force the Chong family to lower their heads, and force the second son of the Chong family to kill his own son. Furthermore, he also knew that his actions earlier had chilled Duan Lingtian's heart. Although Duan Lingtian was still polite to him on the surface, he could sense that there was a sense of unfamiliarity between them. They were no longer as close as before. For this reason, he was trying to salvage his relationship with Duan Lingtian, regardless of the trump card behind Duan Lingtian. Since it could force the Chong family to compromise, it meant it was worth it for him to take the initiative to befriend Duan Lingtian. They've set up a spirit formation outside the room. If I'm not mistaken, that spirit formation is used to block communication. At that time, they discovered I was only a higher deity, so they wanted to kill both of us in one fell swoop. That way, no matter how powerful the person behind you is, as long as they can't trace it back to them, they'll be fine. However, they didn't expect the person beside you to be me, Tang Chun. After I revealed my strength and cultivation base, they recognized me and opened the formation to ask for help. After all, the formation would prevent them from communicating with the outside world. Then the old master of the Chong family, Chong Tianqing, sent me a message asking me to show mercy. He even promised me some benefits. I'll give you half of the benefits when I get my hands on them. After all, to a certain extent, I owe half of the benefits to you. Tang Chun's words conveyed two meanings. It was because of him that Duan Lingtian was able to survive. Otherwise, no matter how powerful his background was, he would have been assassinated by the Chong family. Apart from that, he was willing to share half of the benefits with Duan Lingtian, even though he could obtain some benefits from Chong Tianqing. It could be said that Tang Chun's actions were very sincere. You're right, Elder Tang Chun. How could Duan Lingtian not understand Tang Chun's words? Duan Lingtian will remember Elder Tang Chun's kindness for saving my life this time. I'll definitely repay you in the future. As for the benefits Chong Tianqing gave me, you can keep it for yourself. There's no need to give it to you, Elder Tang Chun. I believe that the great gift the Chong family will give me won't be inferior to what Chong Tianqing gave you. Duan Lingtian smiled. Tang Chun wanted to persuade him some more, but he was rejected by Duan Lingtian. In the end, he didn't insist. After all, he also felt the pain of giving away those things. Although he didn't feel that things had returned to how they were before, Duan Lingtian personally said that he remembered his kindness for saving his life and would repay him in the future. This allowed him to relax. At the very least, Duan Lingtian didn't resent him. In the future, when we reach the sect, I'll repair my relationship with him. Haste makes waste. If I continue now, I'll only go too far. Thinking of this, Tang Chun wasn't in a hurry to repair his relationship with Duan Lingtian for the rest of the journey. And as Duan Lingtian followed Tang Chun out of Skywind City and headed towards the Hidden Fog sect, the mansion of the Zhong clan was not calm either. Inside the Zhong family's ancestral hall, Zhong Kuqi's body was lying on a white bed, and 4 people were standing in front of the bed. They were none other than the Zhong family's second master, Zhong Heir fourth master, Zhong Si Zhong San, and the Zhong family's patriarch Zhong Zhong. Chi, or you died for the clan. The clan won't forget you. I'll arrange for your name to be inscribed in the clan's genealogical records. I'll mention that your death played a part in the clan's extermination, and that your death ensured the survival of the clan. Looking at Zhong Kuqi's body lying on the white cloth bed, Zhong Kuqi said word by word. His voice echoed in the completely sealed ancestral hall. Second brother, my condolences. Zhong San put his arm around Zhong Heir's shoulder and comforted him with a serious expression. "Don't worry, third brother. I can handle it. For the sake of the legacy of the clan, Chi-Er's sacrifice is worth it." Although Chong-Er said this, his voice was trembling violently because of the suppression. "Second brother." Chong Kuchi looked back at Chong-Er and said, "I've already activated the layers of formations outside the ancestral hall. No matter how big the commotion is, the people outside won't be able to detect it. You don't have to suppress yourself anymore. Vent your emotions appropriately." Almost at the same time, Zhong-Er's robe suddenly exploded. A turbulent divine power swept out, and in the blink of an eye, a gust of wind blew, causing all the decorations in the ancestral hall to sway. It was as if a gust of wind had swept through the ancestral hall. Then, Chong-Er stepped out and collapsed in front of Chong Kuchi's white cloth bed, his eyes filled with bloodthirsty hatred. "Chi-Er, father is useless. I can't avenge you. Father is useless." Chong-Er continued to growl, his voice growing louder and louder, then gradually fading away. Chong-Er then put on a clean robe again, and his whole person returned to his previous appearance. His body no longer trembled from suppressing his emotions. He walked up to Chong Kuchi and squeezed out a smile. "Big brother, don't worry, I'm fine." "It's good that you're fine." Chong Kuchi placed a hand on Chong-Er's shoulder and nodded. "We all believe that Chi-Er can understand you. Even if Chi-Er had a choice, I believe that he would have sacrificed himself for the sake of the family," Chong Kuchi said. Chong-Er smiled bitterly. Chong-Er laughed bitterly in his heart. He was very clear about his son. He was definitely not someone who would sacrifice himself for the family. If he had a choice, he would never commit suicide. That was why he had taken action personally. He was worried that if he was too late, and his son begged for mercy, his heart would soften. "Big brother, don't worry, I'm really fine. We can always have another son. But once the family is gone, we're all done for." Chong-Er forced a smile on his face and grinned. "Big brother." Chong-Er then asked Chong Kuchi. "That Duan Lingtian's second request is obviously to blackmail our Chong clan. What kind of gift should we prepare for him?" When the word gift was mentioned, Chong-Er's face couldn't help but darken, his eyes flashing fiercely. It would have been fine if he had made a request, but he didn't. That's the most troublesome part. Zhongde said with a sigh. "Before coming to the ancestral shrine, I've spoken to the old master about this matter. The old master's intention is to give half of the divine stones in the clan to Duan Lingtian. Apart from that, we'll give half of the divine weapons, divine pills, divine fruits, and divine herbs to him as well. The patriarch also knows about the incident at the Zhou clan's auction. According to his speculation, that girl should be from an emperor-level faction. An emperor-level faction? Originally, when Chong-Er, and Chong-Er heard that they were going to give Duan Lingtian, they were all very reluctant, as they felt that it was too much. However, when they realized that Duan Lingtian was backed by an emperor-level faction, they immediately gave up on the idea of giving Duan Lingtian compensation. Worldly possessions could be fought for if they were gone, but once the family was gone, everything would be gone. "Big brother, I have no objections." Chong-Er was the first to express his opinion. "I have no objections either." Chong-Er also expressed his opinion. As for Chong-Er, he also said, "I believe in the patriarch's judgment." "Old heir, the patriarch wants me to tell you. After that Duan Lingtian goes to the Hidden Fog sect, he will further investigate Duan Lingtian's background. If Duan Lingtian really has a background that our Chong clan can't afford to provoke, then that's fine. But if he doesn't, then no matter how much he eats from our Chong clan, the patriarch will make him spit it out." Chong-Er said to Chong-Er. Chong-Er's eyes flashed with a cold light. He coldly said, "If he doesn't have such a background, I will kill him with my own hands. I will tear him to pieces and grind his bones to dust." Chapter 3667. On the way to the Hidden Fog sect, Duan Lingtian confirmed with Tang Chun that the Hidden Fog sect's next core disciple assessment would be held in half a year. If you enter the sect now, you will be an inner sect disciple. After becoming an inner sect disciple, you will enjoy all the treatment an inner sect disciple can enjoy. Tang Chun said to Duan Lingtian. Normally, even if you have the vice sect master's recommendation, you will have to wait until the core disciple assessment begins before you can enter the sect. But this time, the vice sect master has recommended you twice in a row. The first time was to recommend you to become a core disciple of the sect. The second time was to recommend you to enter the sect ahead of time and become an inner sect disciple. After all, according to the sect's rules, after a student of the Hidden Fog Academy becomes a 10-star student, they will need to stay for a certain period of time before they can enter the sect. This is the first time the vice sect master has recommended someone to enter the sect ahead of time, since he became the dean of Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy. And because it was the first time, the sect quickly agreed. If it was the second time, it wouldn't have gone so smoothly. After listening to Tang Chun, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but think of the dean of Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy, Morong Suifeng. He never imagined that Morong Suifeng had done so much for him in secret. He didn't doubt Tang Chun's words. After all, he would be able to find out for himself when he arrived at the Hidden Fog sect. There was no need for Tang Chun to lie. The sect's encampment is up ahead. Under Tang Chun's guidance, Duan Lingtian arrived at a mountainous forest. The deeper he went, the thicker the fog became, and the more it blocked his line of sight. In the past, it was not like Duan Lingtian had never been to a sect or clan's estate that was covered by a formation. However, those sects and clans' estate only had a few layers of fog at most. But now, under Tang Chun's guidance, Duan Lingtian passed through dozens of layers of fog. Moreover, the fog became thicker and thicker. His visibility was less than 100 meters, and his divine sense was restricted as soon as he extended it. It was clear that this fog was condensed by an array formation. We're here. It wasn't until he passed through the 99th level of fog that Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up with light. Tang Chun's voice also sounded out, telling Duan Lingtian that they had arrived at the Hidden Fog Sect's station. Duan Lingtian looked over, and what entered his eyes was no longer lofty mountains and precipitous ridges, but a vast grassland instead. Moreover, on the grassland, there was an extremely enormous floating island that floated in the horizon, and it was like the gathering of celestial beings. The area of the floating island was very large. At first glance, Duan Lingtian felt that it was at least as large as 1,000 Skywind cities. There were buildings, natural mountain ridges, and barren hills on the island. It was clear that this was the Hidden Fog Sect station, and outside the Hidden Fog Sect station, the floating island was surrounded by a layer of fog. The scenery within flashed in front of Duan Lingtian's eyes, faintly discernible. The 99 layers of fog I brought you through just now is the sect's protective array formation. If you aren't someone from the sect, it would be impossible to pass through those array formations so smoothly. Tang Chun said to Duan Lingtian, I have an inner sect elder status token on me, so I can bring people in and out. But I can only bring 3 people in at most. And this is because I am an inner sect elder. If you are an outer sect elder or an inner sect disciple, you can only bring 1 person in. As for outer sect disciples, they don't have the qualifications to bring anyone in. They can only come in alone. Of course, core disciples have the same treatment as inner sect elders. They can bring 3 people in. If there are too many people, you can only notify the others in the sect and have them come out to help you. If you force your way in, you will trigger the attack of the sect's protective array formation. Anyone below the Divine Emperor realm will undoubtedly die. Even an ordinary Divine Emperor will be severely wounded. As Tang Chun spoke, Duan Lingtian realized just how terrifying the 99 layers of fog they passed through were. To be more accurate, it was how terrifying the Hidden Fog Sect's protective array formation was. Besides the sect's protective array formation outside, there is another sect's protective array formation within the sect. Look at the thin layer of fog around the sect station. It seems ordinary, but the truth is that it is the embodiment of the sect's protective array formation. Those who don't have an identity token can't enter this place. Although I can bring you through the outer sect's protective array formation, I cannot bring you through this array formation. If you want to pass through this array formation, you must obtain the permission of the sect's sect protection hall. Speaking of this, Tang Chun earnestly explained, the so-called sect protection hall is a hall that protects the sect, and that hall's duty is to protect the sect. The people in the sect protection hall are all die-hard loyalists of the sect. Or perhaps, they are death warriors. As Tang Chun finished speaking, he vigilantly glanced around. Then, he finished speaking with a sound transmission to Duanling Tian. They are all people who have made heart demon blood oaths to pledge their loyalty to the sect. If they dare to betray the sect, only death awaits them. If outsiders wish to enter the sect, they must be personally led in by a high-level core elder or above. As for everyone else, they must obtain their permission before they can bring others in. As Tang Chun spoke to hear, Duanling Tian gained a certain understanding of the Hidden Fog Sect's sect protection hall. The Hidden Fog sect controls entry and exit very strictly. Duanling Tian looked at Tang Chun. He smiled and said, "It can even be said that they are overly cautious. Did the Hidden Fog sect suffer losses in the past because of this? It is said to be so, but as for the truth of the matter, I am not sure." Tang Chun nodded and then shook his head. But the sect's measures are indeed stricter than those of other Divine Emperor-level influences. In fact, those Divine Emperor-level influences are not as strict as our sect in this aspect. Hearing Tang Chun say this, Duanling Tian knew that the Hidden Fog sect must have suffered losses in the past. However, Tang Chun actually didn't know the ins and outs of this matter. It seemed that the high-level figures of the Hidden Fog sect weren't willing to mention this matter, so even an inner sect elder like Tang Chun didn't know. Duanling Tian, I have already contacted the people in the sect protection hall. Wait a moment. Someone will come out to lead us in. Tang Chun said to Duanling Tian. Once you enter the sect and go through the procedures to become an inner sect disciple, you will be able to bring your identity token and freely enter the sect. Duanling Tian nodded. Then the two of them waited here. After several dozen breaths of time, a figure flashed out from behind the mist on the floating island in front of them. After several transformations, the figure appeared like a ghost in front of Duanling Tian and Tang Chun. This was a middle-aged man wearing a black robe. His face was grave and stern. His eyes were indifferent as he looked at Duanling Tian and asked, Elder Duanling Tian, is this the Hidden Fog Academy's 10-star student you brought back? Yes. Tang Chun nodded. At the same time, he introduced the newcomer to Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian, this is the Sect Protection Hall's third hall master. At the same time, he told Duanling Tian that there were a total of 10 hall masters in the Sect Protection Hall, and each hall master had 100 death-sworn subordinates. Of the 10 hall masters of the Sect Protection Hall, 2 were Divine Emperor powerhouses, and the other 8 were outstanding upper god kings. As for the group of death-sworn in the Sect Protection Hall, the weakest was a lower god king. There are 1,000 god king level death-sworn in the Sect Protection Hall? Thinking of this, Duanling Tian was startled. After all, these were death-sworn and not ordinary Hidden Fog sect disciples. Third hall master. Duanling Tian greeted the newcomer in a timely manner. But the newcomer didn't respond. He said indifferently, take out your Hidden Fog Academy's 10-star student identity token. Duanling Tian withdrew his identity token when he heard this, and passed it over to the other party. After the newcomer confirmed it, he nodded and stretched out his hand. An invisible force swept out and covered Duanling Tian's body. Don't resist. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. As the indifferent voice sounded, Duanling Tian relaxed his body. In the next moment, he found himself being led through the Hidden Fog Sect's inner sect protection array, and officially entered the Hidden Fog Sect's encampment. Tang Chun followed behind them. Thank you, Third Hall Master. Tang Chun looked at the third palace master of the Sect Protection Palace, and thanked him. However, the third palace master did not even look at Tang Chun as he turned around and left. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared before Duanling Tian and Tang Chun's eyes. The people of the Sect Protection Hall are indifferent by nature. You'll be fine once you get used to it. Tang Chun smiled at Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian nodded. Let's go. I'll take you to handle the inner sect disciple entrance procedures. Tang Chun called out to Duan Lingtian and led Duan Lingtian to handle the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect disciple entrance procedures. And with Tang Chun, an inner sect elder personally leading the way, the procedures were very efficient. In less than an hour, everything was done. Duan Lingtian, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll call someone over to take you to the inner sect disciples cultivation area. After handling the procedures, Tang Chun said to Duan Lingtian. Not long after he spoke, a figure appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. To be precise, it was a beautiful figure. This was a woman wearing a long red dress. She had a beautiful face. Although she couldn't compare to Duan Lingtian's two wives or Huan she was still a rare beauty among ordinary women. Wuyan greets granduncle. After the woman appeared, she respectfully bowed to Tang Chun. But from the corner of her eyes, she glanced at Duan Lingtian. There was a trace of surprise in the depths of her eyes. Haha, Wuyan Grandmaster has other matters to attend to. I'll leave Duan Lingtian to you. Tang Chun smiled at the woman, his grandniece Tang Wuyan. Duan Lingtian just arrived. Show him the way. Tang Wuyan was a junior of the family behind Tang Chun. She was also the most outstanding junior after Tang Chun, and the only one to enter the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect. As for the other juniors, even if they were men, the one who did the best was only an outer sect elder of the Hidden Fog sect. After speaking to Tang Wuyan, Tang Chun looked at Duan Lingtian. He smiled and said, Duan Lingtian, this is my grandniece Tang Wuyan. She is also an inner sect disciple. If you have any questions, you can ask her. Next, she will take you to the inner sect disciples cultivation area. Chapter 3668. Wuyan, take good care of Duan Lingtian. If you neglect Duan Lingtian, I won't forgive you. After Tang Chun said this, he left. At the same time, when he left, the corners of his mouth lifted into a meaningful smile. He had asked his grandniece, Tang Wuyan, to come over on purpose. Did he really have something to do? Of course not. He just wanted to create an opportunity for his grandniece. When he left the Hidden Fog Academy and went to the Zhong family's restaurant to eat, he wanted to introduce his grandniece to Duan Lingtian. He was optimistic about Duan Lingtian's future and felt that Duan Lingtian would lead their Tang family to greater heights and further heights in the future. However, Duan Lingtian said that he already had a wife and children. Moreover, he clearly wasn't interested, so he didn't say anything. Later, when he saw the Zhong family's people humble themselves in front of Duan Lingtian, the Zhong family's second master, Zhong Heir, killed his own son in order to curry favor with Duan Lingtian. At that moment, he knew that his understanding of Duan Lingtian was like a drop in the ocean, not worth mentioning. Because of this, when he brought Duan Lingtian back to the Hidden Fog sect, he planned to matchmake Duan Lingtian and his grandniece, Tang Wuyan. He was very confident in his grandniece, Tang Wuyan. In the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect, the number of female disciples was less than the number of male disciples, let alone outstanding female disciples. As for his grandniece, Tang Wuyan, she was ranked in the top 3 among the younger generation of female disciples. Most importantly, his grandniece was very beautiful. She was publicly acknowledged as the #1 beauty in the inner sect, and many male inner sect disciples were jealous of her. There were even some core male disciples who came to his door, wanting to marry his grandniece. He naturally wanted his grandniece to marry a core disciple. This was because any core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect, as long as they didn't die prematurely, would have an excellent future. They would definitely be much better than him. But the problem was that his grandniece, Tang Wuyan, didn't like them. His grandniece, Tang Wuyan, was a strong and unyielding woman. At least he couldn't decide her life. Unless there was a man she liked, no one could force her to do anything. If she really had to be forced, she would rather die. Because of this, although Tang Chun wanted to find a good home for her and make the family behind her better, he also knew that he couldn't force this grandniece of his. It could be said that it had been a long time since he had arranged a blind date for his grandniece. This time, If not for the fact that Duan Lingtian was really outstanding, he would not have thought of introducing his grandniece to Duan Lingtian and matchmaking them. Smokeless, there's one thing that granduncle wants to make clear to you. Duan Lingtian told me himself that he has a wife and children. If you mind this, then just be friends with him. There's no need to try to get close to him. When Tang Chun left, he did not forget to remind Tang Wuyan. When Tang Wuyan heard Tang Chun's voice transmission, she didn't say anything. Tang Wuyan didn't like any man. Although the purple-clad young man in front of her was good-looking and had a good temperament, in this world where the strong were respected, this was not the most important thing. Tang Wuyan liked men who could conquer her in all aspects. If a man could make her fall in love, she wouldn't let him go even if he had many wives and children in her eyes. It was normal for a powerful man to have many wives and concubines. As for whether she would be neglected after she got together with that man in the future, she was confident in herself. She was confident in her appearance and her strength. She Tang Wuyan was not a vase. She believed that no matter how many women the man she liked had, she would be the one that her man couldn't live without. The other women were destined to be green leaves, complementing the fresh flower that was her. Come with me. Tang Wuyan glanced at the man in front of her indifferently and greeted him indifferently. Then she led the way. Duan Lingtian didn't react to this. He followed behind her calmly and didn't say a word along the way. However, he thought more highly of Tang Wuyan in his heart. He didn't even need to guess to know that Tang Wuyan's appearance here was Tang Chun's doing. Tang Chun had mentioned his grandniece when he wanted to introduce her to him. It must be this woman in front of him. If Tang Wuyan had approached him passionately, he would have looked down on her. Now, seeing that she was ignoring him, Duan Lingtian was secretly relieved. At the same time, he thought more highly of her. He really wasn't in the mood to deal with women who were throwing themselves at him. If there's anything you want to ask, you can ask me. Although Tang Wuyan wasn't so enthusiastic towards Duan Lingtian, she wasn't silent either. After walking for a while, she introduced the surrounding buildings to Duan Lingtian. These buildings were either a hall in the Hidden Fog sect that was in charge of a certain aspect, or the residence of a core elder or inner sect elder. In the Hidden Fog sect station, the residence of the Hidden Fog sect's higher-ups wasn't gathered together. This was because the heaven and earth spirit energy in the entire Hidden Fog sect was the same no matter where they were. Therefore, the cultivation resources they could enjoy were the same no matter where they lived. This also led to the residences of the Hidden Fog sect's higher-ups being distributed in every corner of the Hidden Fog sect station. That's the second elder's residence. When Tang Wuyan brought Duan Lingtian over a spacious building that resembled a small palace, she introduced it to Duan Lingtian. Of course, this isn't just the second elder's residence. It is also where he cultivates. In fact, most of his disciples cultivate here. Duan Lingtian nodded. Then his heart stirred. He remembered that when he was still at Hidden Fog Academy, there was a person who claimed to be the disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder. This person wanted him to become a disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder, but Duan Lingtian refused. Then, that person flew into a rage out of humiliation. He wanted to attack Duan Lingtian, but the person behind him stopped him in time. How many second elders are there in the Hidden Fog sect? Duan Lingtian subconsciously asked. Just one, Tang Wuyan said. Within the Hidden Fog sect, there have always been a total of 19 core elders. The second elder is one of them. Of course, this doesn't mean that there are only 19 core elders. Apart from the 19 ranked core elders, there are some other core elders. They are grand elders in the sect, and their status is even higher than the 19 ranked core elders. At the very least, they are on par with the vice sect leader. Among the highest elders, there are a few who are even stronger than the sect master, and they are basically the sect master's elders. In addition, there are also 19 protectors in the sect. Their status is equal to the vice sect master and some highest elders. They are above the 19 core elders. After listening to Tang Wuyan, Duan Lingtian was almost certain that this small group of buildings surrounded by walls was the honorable master of the person who called himself Tu Feng. He was the Hidden Fog sect's second elder. Perhaps that Tu Feng also lived here. With our speed, we can reach the inner sect disciples' cultivation area in at most a quarter of an hour. Tang Wuyan said to Duan Lingtian. If they directly rushed to the inner sect disciples' cultivation area, it would only take a few dozen breaths of time. But now they had to introduce some of the buildings to Duan Lingtian, so it would naturally take a lot of time. Thank you for your trouble. Duan Lingtian smiled and nodded. At the same time, the moment they moved, he glanced at the Hidden Fog sect's second elder's residence from the corner of his eye. A familiar figure stepped into the air and looked in his direction. It's not that Tu Feng. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian could tell that this person wasn't the aggressive Tu Feng of the past. He couldn't help but laugh at himself, feeling that he was being too sensitive. Then he continued to follow Tang Wuyan. And now, the person who stepped into the air was indeed not Tu Feng. However, Duan Lingtian felt that this person was familiar. It wasn't because he was being too sensitive, but because this person had indeed appeared in front of him before. This person was the one who had followed Tu Feng to look for Duan Lingtian. The gray-robed youth standing behind Tu Feng was also Tu Feng's junior apprentice brother, another disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder. That is, Duan Lingtian? A wisp of surprise flashed through the young man's eyes, and then he sent a message. Huangli, send a message to Tang Wuyan and ask her who that young man behind her is. Well, don't tell her that I asked you to ask. Tell her that someone saw her with a young man in purple and told you. Huangli was also an inner sect disciple of the Hidden Fog sect. She had a good relationship with him, and was also on good terms with Tang Wuyan. Meng Xinghen, don't tell me you've also fallen for Wuyan? Huangli teased. Otherwise, why would you suddenly ask me to ask about this? You're thinking too much. I just feel that the purple-clothed youth behind her looks familiar. I want to confirm his identity. Hurry up and help me ask. I'll treat you to a meal later. Meng Xinghen was the fourth disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder. He was also Tu Feng's junior apprentice brother. Meng Xinghen didn't wait long before he received Huang Li's message. Meng Xinghen, I've asked. The purple-clothed youth behind Wuyan is a 10-star student from Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy. He just reported to the sect today and became an inner sect disciple. I never thought that Vice Sect Master Morong would allow a 10-star student from Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy to enter the sect in advance. It is said that Vice Sect Master Morong also recommended him to become a core disciple. In half a year, he will participate in the core disciple assessment. You said he looked familiar. Is it him? Huang Li asked. Thank you. Meng Xinghen thanked Huang Li and no longer paid attention to her. He stepped into the air and landed, but he didn't return to the building he came from. Instead, he went to another building. Eldest senior apprentice brother, are you free now? Chapter 3669. Fourth junior brother, what's the matter? A figure stepped into the air from the building in front of Meng Xinghen and arrived in front of him in the blink of an eye. If Duan Lingtian was still here, he would definitely recognize this person at a glance. It was Tu Feng, the one who had gone to the Hidden Fog Academy to recruit him as a disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder, but was rejected by him. At that time, after he rejected him, Tu Feng showed a very unfriendly attitude. It was as if he couldn't wait for him to die before he entered the Hidden Fog sect. Eldest senior brother, do you remember that 10-star student from the Hidden Fog Academy, Duan Lingtian? He's Duan Lingtian, the person who became the strongest 10-star student in the Hidden Mist Academy as soon as he entered the academy. He even accumulated more than 120,000 points during the 10-star test. Not only did he break the Hidden Mist Academy's record, but he even surpassed the previous record by 3 times. Meng Xinghen asked. Although he and his senior brother, Tu Feng, had gone to the Hidden Fog Academy in Skywind City to look for Duan Lingtian before the 10-star student trial began, they were still shocked when they heard about Duan Lingtian's performance in the 10-star student trial in Skywind City. Moreover, according to their idea, that was the best opportunity for the God King level family to kill Duan Lingtian. But in the end, Duan Lingtian was still alive and well. Of course I remember. Tu Feng's eyes flashed. I heard from Master that Vice Sect Master Morong recommended him to enter the sect in advance and become an inner sect disciple. At the same time, he recommended him to participate in the core disciple assessment. I just didn't expect him to come so quickly. Although Tu Feng's tone was calm, the depths of his eyes flashed with a cold light, like a sword. Eldest senior brother, Meng Xinghan said with a dignified expression, that Duan Lingtian is now an inner sect disciple of our Hidden Fog Academy. Even if you are dissatisfied with his previous response, it's best not to act against him. You also know the rules of the sect. Meng Xinghan knew that this eldest senior brother of his was famous for having a violent temper, and he was deeply afraid that his eldest senior brother would come looking for Duan Lingtian to vent his anger once he was displeased. I know. Tu Feng replied impatiently. Did you come to me just to remind me? Yes. Meng Xinghan smiled bitterly. He had come to look for his eldest senior brother, not only to tell him that something unexpected had happened to Duan Lingtian, but also to remind him not to make a move against Duan Lingtian without permission. Once things got out of hand, perhaps even their master would not be able to save him. I'm not that stupid, Tu Feng disdainfully said. Since that Duan Lingtian has come to the Hidden Fog sect, I, Tu Feng, have plenty of methods to deal with him. There is no need for me to personally act. Moreover, he isn't worthy of me personally acting. Although Tu Feng wasn't a core disciple of the Hidden Fog sect, he was still a relatively famous existence amongst the inner sect disciples. A part of the reason he was famous was because his master was the Hidden Fog sect's second elder. But a greater part of the reason was because of his strength. He was a God King powerhouse amongst the inner sect disciples. A lower divine king, who was less than 10,000 years old, was rare even among the inner sect disciples. That's good. Meng Xinghan relaxed as he heard this. All right. If there's nothing else, you should cultivate diligently and try to break through to the God King realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, that Duan Lingtian will catch up to you soon. Tu Feng waved his hand at Meng Xinghan and then left by himself. He didn't return to his residence, but instead went far away. Meng Xinghan looked at Tu Feng's departing back, a helpless look in his eyes. He knew that this eldest senior brother of his was definitely looking for someone to deal with Duan Lingtian. He understood his eldest senior brother's personality better than anyone else. He was the type that couldn't suffer any losses. Last time, he had lost face because of Duan Lingtian, so he held a grudge against Duan Lingtian. He had always been unwilling to accept this. Before Duan Lingtian came to the Hidden Fog sect, things weren't so bad. It was difficult for him to deal with Duan Lingtian, but now that he was here, he naturally wouldn't miss any chance to deal with Duan Lingtian. I hope eldest senior brother won't make things worse. That Vice Sect Master Morong rarely places so much importance on a person. For him to recommend Duan Lingtian twice in a row shows just how much he values him. Meng Xinghan sighed and returned to his residence. He and Tu Feng were both disciples of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder. Their residence was in their honored master's residence. Duan Lingtian followed behind Tang Wuyan, following her all the way to the inner sect disciples' cultivation area. Along the way, Tang Wuyan patiently introduced and explained to Duan Lingtian that is Fourth Elder's residence. Most of Fourth Elder's disciples also live in that place. The upper echelons of the sect basically let their family or disciples live under the same roof. This is more convenient for communication and also more convenient for teaching. The inner sect disciples that live in the inner sect disciples' cultivation area are basically all inner sect disciples that haven't joined any of the upper echelons of the sect. There are some inner sect disciples that the upper echelons want to accept as disciples, but they either think they already have an honored master and aren't willing to join anyone else, or they are arrogant and think that the person who wants to accept them as a disciple isn't qualified to be their honored master. Of course, there are even more inner sect disciples that don't have high status in the upper echelons because of their ordinary performance. As for the upper echelons of the sect, they are self-aware and know that the inner sect disciples might not take them seriously. Thus, they don't go and ask for humiliation. Speaking of this, Tang Wuyan glanced at Duan Lingtian and sighed. You're Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy's dean, who is also our Hidden Fog sect's vice sect master Morong. I don't think he mentioned accepting you as a disciple? Duan Lingtian nodded. Indeed, Dean Morong Suifeng didn't mention accepting him as a disciple. Do you know why? Tang Wuyan looked deeply at Duan Lingtian and asked. Then, without waiting for Duan Lingtian to speak, she continued, with your talent and comprehension, not to mention Vice Sect Master Morong. Even many Grand Elders and Guardians, who have the same status in the sect as Vice Sect Master Morong, or even higher Guardians, want to accept you as a disciple after your results in the 10-star trial at Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy came out. Why? Duan Lingtian asked. In fact, this was also what he was puzzled about. When he first met Morong Suifeng, he was already prepared for the possibility that Morong Suifeng wanted to accept him as a disciple. He also thought about how to refuse. But in the end, Morong Suifeng didn't say a word. At that time, he was thinking, could it be that Morong Suifeng found out about his response when Tu Feng came to find him? However, based on what Tang Wuyan had just said, it didn't seem to be that simple. Vice sect leader, Morong used to have a disciple whom he doted on very much. However, that disciple died prematurely in the end. After his disciple died, he swore that he wouldn't accept another disciple. Of course, he didn't swear a blood oath. Tang Wuyan continued. Even if he didn't swear a blood oath, according to my granduncle, he wouldn't go back on his words. My granduncle knows Vice Sect Master Morong very well about this. Speaking of this, Tang Wuyan's eyes glinted with respect for Morong Suifeng. Then, Tang Wuyan looked at Duan Lingtian and said, Duan Lingtian, when the news of your arrival in the sect spreads out, I'm afraid many guardians and grand elders will want to accept you as a disciple. When the time comes, you have to think carefully about which guardian or grand elder you want to become a disciple of. However, my advice to you is, try your best to become a disciple of Wind City. That way, you'll be better taken care of. After all, you're from Wind City. Tang Wuyan was Tang Chun's grandniece. Although she was not born in Wind City, Tang Chun had taken Wind City's side in the sect. Therefore, when she entered the sect, she was labeled as a member of the Wind City faction. If you join another sect, you'll naturally be taken care of. However, they might doubt your loyalty. After all, you're from Wind City. Of course, what I've given you is just a suggestion. It's up to you to make the final decision. In the end, Tang Wuyan added, I hope my words won't affect you. No matter what you choose, it's your freedom. The Wind City branch won't target you just because you joined another branch. After all, you're from the same sect. After hearing Tang Wuyan's words, Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. Thank you for the reminder. After crossing the mountains in front, we'll reach the inner sect disciples' cultivation grounds. Tang Wuyan led Duan Lingtian through a building and arrived in front of a mountain range. She looked at the towering mountains in front of them and spoke to Duan Lingtian. In the sect, there are thousands of inner sect disciples. Among them, only 10 to 20% are disciples of the upper echelons. Most of the inner sect disciples usually stay at the inner sect disciples' cultivation grounds. There are also some who go out to gain experience and haven't returned. There are also some older ones who are helping the sect manage some businesses outside. Usually, there are only 1,000 or so people who stay at the inner sect disciples' cultivation grounds. After Tang Wuyan finished speaking, she led Duan Lingtian over the mountains and arrived at a vast hilly area. In front of them was a hilly area. It was uneven and complicated, and in every corner of this hilly area, there were stone and wooden houses. Moreover, these stone and wooden houses were all different. They didn't look like they were built by the Hidden Fog sect, specifically for inner sect disciples. The residences here are all built by the inner sect disciples themselves. The cobwebbed areas are unoccupied. You can clean them up and live there. You can also build your own house. Tang Wuyan said. As for the other things that inner sect disciples need to pay attention to, You can look through the memory jade slip that inner sect disciples receive when they go through the sect entrance procedures. You'll be able to understand it clearly. If there's anything you don't understand, you can also ask me. As Tang Wuyan spoke, she took out a soul bead and handed it to Duan Lingtian. Thank you. When Duan Lingtian received the soul bead, he also handed over his own soul bead. I'll have to trouble you today. If there's anything I can help you with, you can also look for me. Chapter 3670. Along the way, Tang Wuyan patiently introduced Duan Lingtian to him. Furthermore, other than the introductions, she did not talk about anything else with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian could feel that Tang Wuyan was not interested in him. It was probably because of Elder Tang Chun's instructions. He heaved a sigh of relief and accepted Tang Wuyan's guidance. It's just a small matter. You don't have to take it to heart. Tang Wuyan smiled faintly, but did not reach out to take Duan Lingtian's soul orb. It was as if she had no intention of contacting Duan Lingtian again. Keep it. You never know when you will come to me for help. Duan Lingtian smiled. He did not like to owe people favors. Although this journey was a piece of cake for Tang Wuyan, Duan Lingtian knew that most people would not trouble Tang Wuyan to personally lead the way. Along the way, he could clearly feel the pride in Tang Wuyan's bones. She was one of the most prideful women he had ever met in his 2 lifetimes. Of course, he knew that Tang Wuyan was leading the way mostly because Elder Tang Chun wanted to matchmake them. However, he was not the only one who did not cooperate. Even Tang Wuyan, Tang Chun's grandniece, did not cooperate. All right. In the end, Tang Wuyan accepted Duan Lingtian's protection. However, it seemed that she had no choice but to do so. Duan Lingtian could not help but smile bitterly to himself. It was rare for him to personally give away his soul orb, but he was almost rejected. Then I'll leave first. Before Tang Wuyan left, she said to Duan Lingtian, quickly look through the memory jade slip that contains the inner sect disciples handbook that you obtained at the place where you went through the formalities earlier. That will help you avoid unnecessary mistakes. Okay. Duan Lingtian nodded in response before he watched Tang Wuyan leave. Only then did he turn around and descend to the hill where the inner sect disciples cultivated. After that, he found a stone house that was filled with cobwebs and chose it as his place to cultivate. Whoosh, whoosh, Duan Lingtian casually waved his hand, and with the help of his divine power, a gust of wind raged. Immediately, the stone house that was originally covered in cobwebs was swept clean. Even the most stubborn of dust could not stop the wind caused by his divine power. After sweeping the stone house, he entered the stone house. At the same time, he took out a square disc array that he had just received from the place where he had gone through the formalities. This disc array was something that every inner sect disciple could receive. It was used to place in one's own training area. Not only could it prevent others from disturbing one's training, it could also protect oneself. The array formation set up by this array disc could only be broken by existences above the God King level. Even if it was broken, it would alert the inner sect elders who were in charge of the inner sect disciples' cultivation grounds. Once the inner sect elders were alerted, they would immediately rush to the location where the array disc was broken. Inner sect disciples' handbook. After sitting down on the stone bed, Duan Lingtian took out the memory jade slip that he had just received. He extended his divine sense and fused it with the jade slip. Immediately, a large amount of information flooded his mind. As for him, he carefully and earnestly read through it. This inner sect disciples' handbook mainly introduced some very basic things. For instance, the rules of the Hidden Fog sect, as well as some rules of the inner sect. Once one violated these rules, they would be punished. These were like the laws of Duan Lingtian's previous world. However, these laws only applied to the land of a country. As for the Hidden Fog sect's rules, they only applied to the Hidden Fog sect disciples and elders. There were many things recorded in the inner sect disciples' handbook. Duan Lingtian spent several hours reading through it. At the same time, he gained a deeper understanding of the Hidden Fog sect. The Hidden Fog sect is only a divine emperor-level sect, yet they are so rich and overbearing. An inner sect disciple can receive 10 divine stones every month, and there is no threshold. In addition, those who don't receive it this month can accumulate it until next month. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh. Although he had more than 100,000 divine stones in his hands, and didn't care about 10 divine stones a month, when he thought of the number of inner sect disciples in the Hidden Fog Academy, he couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. In a month, the Hidden Fog Academy gave out tens of thousands of divine stones to the inner sect disciples. Just 1 month. Moreover, this didn't include the core disciples, outer sect disciples, inner sect elders, protectors, grand elders, and so on. However, the cultivation environment here is indeed better than the Hidden Fog Academies. In addition, every half a year, the inner sect disciples have a celestial stairway struggle. It is targeted at God Spirit level inner sect disciples and God King level inner sect disciples. Those who rank at the top will receive generous rewards. Moreover, the rewards are very practical for the participants. They can choose from many things, or ask for something of equal value. After carefully reading through the Hidden Fog sect's semi-annual celestial stairway struggle for the inner sect disciples, Duan Lingtian's eyes suddenly lit up. Now there is still half a year before the Hidden Fog Academy's core disciple assessment. Before that, I should still be able to participate in the celestial stairway struggle. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian impatiently left the stone house and walked out. Then, he saw a figure flying out of a wooden house in the distance. He immediately went up and blocked the other party's path. What's the matter? His eyes flashed with a wisp of vigilance as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Hello. Duan Lingtian knew it was wrong to block the other party's path, so he was a little embarrassed. I just wanted to ask you, when is the next celestial stairway struggle? Celestial stairway struggle? Now, the person who was blocked by Duan Lingtian was a young man with a medium build. When he heard what Duan Lingtian said, he frowned. You're a new inner sect disciple that just entered the inner sect? In his opinion, even if he didn't know the inner sect disciples, he would at least have an impression of them. However, he didn't have any impression of the person in front of him. Of course, he couldn't be sure that the other party was a new inner sect disciple just based on this. He only thought so because Duan Lingtian asked about the time of the celestial stairway struggle. Yes, Duan Lingtian nodded. The next celestial stairway struggle will be in 4 months. The young man frowned impatiently. Now, I've told you what you wanted to know. Can you move aside and stop blocking my path? Sorry. After all, he was in the wrong. Facing the other party's impatience, Duan Lingtian repeatedly apologized and moved aside. However, his mind had already completely shifted to the celestial stairway struggle in 4 months. There are still 4 months. In these 4 months, I have to strive to become a higher god. If I can become a higher god, even if I snatch first place in the celestial stairway struggle, I won't attract too much attention. Although Duan Lingtian was confident that he could seize first place in the celestial stairway struggle with his middle god cultivation, he still felt that it would be too high profile. At that time, even the Hidden Fog sect master might be alarmed by him. In contrast, he would also attract jealousy and suspicion, leading to some unnecessary troubles. There might even be people who would try to kill him. After all, although a sect like the Hidden Fog sect was rich in cultivation resources, there was still a limit. If he took a share of the spoils, there would definitely be people who wouldn't be happy about it. He wasn't afraid of other inner sect disciples. But what if it was the elders behind them? On the surface, the elders behind them wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But what about behind their backs? If it's possible, it seems that I have to find a backer in the Hidden Fog sect. It's impossible to take them as my master. After all, I already have a master. It's impossible for me to take a second master. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but have a headache. Forget it. I'll take it one step at a time. Duan Lingtian returned to the stone house and began to cultivate. He cultivated until someone disturbed him. Although this person didn't forcefully attack the array disc, it still woke him up from his cultivation. For a time, Duan Lingtian also awoke from his cultivation and walked out of the stone house. Outside the stone house, two figures stood side by side. One was a middle-aged man, and the other was a young man. The middle-aged man wore a blue robe and had a handsome face. But there was a dark haze between his eyebrows, giving off a gloomy feeling. The young man wore a blue robe and had an ordinary appearance. At first glance, he even seemed a bit dull. But his eyes were bright and spirited like a torch. "Are you looking for me?" Duan Lingtian looked at the two complete strangers in front of him and asked with a frown. "Are you new here?" The middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian and asked. "Is there something you need?" Duan Lingtian asked back. "This stone house is where my big brother cultivates. After a while, he will return. Since you don't know anything, I won't bicker with you. You can move out." The middle-aged man lightly said, "Your big brother's cultivation place?" If he had just arrived and hadn't flipped through the Inner Sect Disciple Handbook, Duan Lingtian might have felt apologetic and moved out of the stone house. But now he didn't plan on leaving. This was because the Inner Sect Disciple Handbook clearly stated one point. Within the Inner Sect Disciple's cultivation place, as long as it is covered with cobwebs, anyone can use it. There is no such thing as seizing another's place. "That's right." The middle-aged man nodded. Then he impatiently said, "This stone house was built by my big brother himself. You're new here, so you should hurry up and move out." "Why should I?" Duan Lingtian looked deeply at the middle-aged man and asked again. Since the other party was an Inner Sect disciple of the Hidden Fog sect, it was impossible for him to not know the rules of the Hidden Fog sect. But now, he actually disregarded the rules and acted recklessly. Moreover, he hadn't been here for long, and the other party had already come looking for trouble. He had a feeling that things weren't as simple as they seemed. "What? You don't want to move?" The middle-aged man's expression turned cold, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "You are just a puny intermediate god. Do you want to compete with a higher god like me?" At this time, the seemingly dull youth beside the middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian with a mocking expression. The corners of his mouth curled up in a mocking smile. "Compete?" Duan Lingtian looked at the middle-aged man without a change in expression. He asked again, "Are you sure?" Chapter 3671. Facing Duan Lingtian's strength and unyielding attitude, coupled with the confidence in Duan Lingtian's eyes, the middle-aged man's heart trembled. Although he was an Inner Sect disciple, and a higher deity at that, in truth, his strength could only be considered as the weakest among the higher deity-level Inner Sect disciples. Even some of the more powerful intermediate deity-level Inner Sect disciples could fight him to a draw. He wasn't a fool. Would someone who could become an Inner Sect disciple of the Hidden Fog sect be so stupid as to seek a beating? How could an intermediate deity-level Inner Sect disciple be so confident in facing a higher deity-level Inner Sect disciple like him? "Who are you?" At this moment, not only did the middle-aged man have a little more fear in his eyes, but even the seemingly dull young man beside him also had a look of bewilderment in his eyes. At the same time, he asked in a timely manner, "You don't know who I am and you dare to disturb my cultivation?" Duan Lingtian sneered. "The person who sent you to cause trouble for me didn't tell you who I am?" Now, even if he used his but to think, Duan Lingtian could already guess who sent these two people to make things difficult for him. It had to be the disciple of the Hidden Fog sect's second elder, Tu Feng, who he had rejected in the past. Or did Tu Feng not tell you who I am? Duan Lingtian looked deeply at the two. In the next moment he saw their expressions change. They looked at Duan Lingtian as if they had seen a ghost. Although they hadn't been sent by Tu Feng, they had indeed come because of him. Tu Feng had been chatting with one of their senior brothers, who usually acted as a follower. He had mentioned that he wanted to deal with an Inner Sect disciple who had just entered the sect, and had asked their senior brother for help. They had privately discussed and decided to act first and report later. They would deal with that Inner Sect disciple first, and then go to their senior brother and senior brother Tu Feng to ask for credit. At that time, their senior brother and senior brother Tu Feng wouldn't be stingy. It was just that they had thought this matter was in the bag. They hadn't expected that the other party would be so calm when facing them, as if he didn't fear them at all. This made them feel uneasy. My name is Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian looked at the two and grinned, a brilliant smile on his face. Duan Lingtian. Almost as soon as Duan Lingtian's voice fell, the two people's expressions changed again. You're Duan Lingtian? You're that 10-star student, Duan Lingtian from the Hidden Mist Academy in Skywind City? It was apparent both of them had heard of Duan Lingtian before. When they heard Duan Lingtian's self-introduction, horror dawned on both of their faces. Their eyes and expressions were filled with panic. Duan Lingtian, the monster from Skywind City's Hidden Fog Academy. Duan Lingtian's results in the 10-star student trial at Wine City's Hidden Mist Academy had long spread throughout the Hidden Mist sect. Even they had heard of it. At the same time, they also knew that the Hidden Mist Academy had a new student. He was less than 3,000 years old, but his cultivation was at the intermediate god level. Moreover, he had comprehended one of the 4 supreme laws, the fusion of 3 profound meanings of the space law. It had to be known that even they had only comprehended 2 or 3 types of dual profound meanings of the law they were proficient in. Moreover, they were much older than Duan Lingtian. They knew that although they were all higher god level, if they really fought, they might not be Duan Lingtian's match. Even if they joined forces, they might only be able to fight Duan Lingtian to a draw at most. However, such an existence would definitely go further than them in the future. Now they had offended him. Even if they joined forces, they could deal with him. But what about in the future? As long as he didn't die prematurely, they would be crushed sooner or later. When that time came, it would be their unlucky days. Moreover, as long as they stayed in the Hidden Mist sect, the gap between them and Duan Lingtian would only grow bigger and bigger. We were too naive. Thinking about it, how could a person who could make senior brother Tu Feng personally find trouble with senior brother Qi is an ordinary inner sect disciple? We can only blame ourselves for not hearing senior brother Tu Feng say Duan Lingtian's name. The two looked at each other and saw regret in each other's eyes. They really regretted taking the lead and finding trouble with Duan Lingtian. If they had known it was Duan Lingtian, they wouldn't have come even if they had 10 times the courage. I am indeed from Wind City's Hidden Mist Academy. Duan Lingtian nodded and then looked at the middle-aged man. You just said that I wanted to compete with you? Now I will answer you yes. I want to compete with you. When Duan Lingtian's lips curved up in a faint smile, the middle-aged man hurriedly waved his hand. At the same time, his face turned bitter and he helplessly said, Junior brother Duan, I was just joking with you. Please don't take it seriously. Please don't take it seriously. In the inner sect disciples' cultivation area, as long as there are spider webs everywhere, anyone can live in it. The stone house you live in, no matter who it used to be, is now empty. If you live in it, no one will be able to snatch it from you. The middle-aged man said. Is that so? Duan Lingtian looked deeply at the middle-aged man. Yes. The middle-aged man was so anxious that he was about to cry. At the same time, he hurriedly looked at the young man beside him. Hurry up and testify for me. Junior brother Duan, that is indeed the case. We were just joking with you. At this moment the young man, who had originally looked dull, was no longer dull at all. He hurriedly opened his mouth to explain. I don't think you're joking. Duan Lingtian's eyes turned even deeper. Tell me the truth. If you tell me the truth, I won't hold it against you. This time, both of them looked at each other before they looked at Duan Lingtian in unison. They transmitted their voices to Duan Lingtian and explained everything that had happened. Junior brother Duan, I was foolish. I shouldn't have looked for trouble with you. Junior brother Duan, you have to be careful of senior brother Qiyu. Among the inner sect disciples at the Divine Spirit Realm, his strength can be ranked in the top 10. He has comprehended the fusion of 3 profundities from the law of wind. Under Duan Lingtian's enticement, both of them revealed everything. They said what they should and should not say. To you, he has comprehended the fusion of 3 profundities from the law of wind? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes slightly. He was puzzled earlier. Even if Tu Feng wanted to look for trouble with him, he wouldn't look for cowards like these two. As it turned out, these two cowards had taken the initiative to look for trouble with him in order to curry favor with Qi Yu and Tu Feng. Junior brother Duan, if there's nothing else, we'll take our leave first. Sorry for disturbing you earlier. When Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes, the two of them bade farewell to each other before they fled without waiting for Duan Lingtian's reply. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he saw this. Am I that scary? Duan Lingtian shook his head and returned to the stone house to continue cultivating. His goal was to break through and become a higher deity as soon as possible. That way, even if he performed better in the heavenly stairway battle, it wouldn't be too shocking. At the same time, he wouldn't attract too much attention. There are still several months before the heavenly stairway battle begins. If nothing unexpected happens, I should be able to make a breakthrough. After all, I haven't completely absorbed the medicinal efficacy of the dragon-marked divine grass yet. This time, Duan Lingtian was completely immersed in cultivation. He even activated all the array formations on the square array disc he received. Even if there was a commotion outside, as long as it wasn't too big, it wouldn't be enough to wake him up. And if there was a big commotion, it would be attacking the array disc. He didn't think that anyone would dare attack his square array disc. The consequences of attacking the array disc were something that even God King level inner sect disciples like Tu Feng wouldn't be able to bear, let alone those God Spirit level inner sect disciples. In the Hidden Fog sect, it was a great crime to disturb a fellow disciple who was in seclusion. After all, in such a situation, it was very likely that the fellow disciple would suffer from cultivation deviation. If light, they would be seriously injured, and if heavy, they would die. Because of this, Duan Lingtian didn't wake up for the next few months. However, although he didn't wake up, he still arranged a small array formation to wake him up at a specific time. It was similar to the alarm clock on Earth in his previous life. And this small array formation was something he learned after coming to the Hidden Fog Academy. In the last month of his stay at the Hidden Fog Academy, besides cultivating, he also read many memory jade slips in the Hidden Fog Academy's library. Among them, there were some practical small array formation jade slips. It was easy to arrange a small array formation. As long as one was willing to put in some effort, they could learn how to arrange it. Hua, hua, hua. Duan Lingtian, who was wholeheartedly immersed in cultivation, completely forgot about the time. He wholeheartedly digested the medicinal efficacy of the dragon-marked divine grass in his body and tried to break through to the higher god level. Only when he was awakened by the sound did he stop cultivating. It's time. Duan Lingtian was woken up by the little formation that resembled an alarm clock that he had set up. The time he had set up was the morning of the heavenly stairway battle among the inner sect disciples. He did not set an earlier time. In other words, he didn't have time to continue cultivating. I'm just one step away. Thinking of his cultivation progress before he was awakened, Duan Lingtian felt helpless. If he hadn't been awakened, with his cultivation progress, it would have taken him a few days at most to break through the final bottleneck and become a higher god. But now he was interrupted. Even if he continued cultivating, he probably wouldn't have the chance in a short period of time. After all, many things required a spurt of energy. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian put away the array formation disc and flashed out of the stone house. He could see many people walking out of their residences and heading in the same direction. However, some of the people who saw him coming out looked at him with strange gazes. Sensing these people's gazes, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but be stunned. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. Just as he was feeling puzzled, a message came at the right time. Duan Lingtian, you're finally out. This message came from Tang Wuyan, the grandniece of inner sect elder Tang Chun. During this period of time, Duan Lingtian was in seclusion. All the arrays in the array formation disk that he activated included an isolation array formation for communication. Therefore, no matter what messages were sent from the outside, Duan Lingtian couldn't receive them. Chapter 3672. What's wrong? Is something the matter? Duan Ling Tian was not surprised that Tang Huiyan knew he had come out. After all, many inner sect disciples had seen him come out. Among them, there must be some who knew Tang Huiyan. He only needed to send a message to Tang Huiyan, and Tang Huiyan would know he had come out. Book/web 3 months ago, Chi Yu, who's ranked in the top 10 among the godly spirit stage inner sect disciples, challenged you, but you didn't respond. 2 months ago, he challenged you again, but you still didn't respond. A month ago, he challenged you again, but you still didn't respond, Tang Huiyan said. Many people think you don't have the guts to accept the challenge. Of course, there are also some people who think you're in closed-door cultivation. That's why you didn't respond. After all, if you're in closed-door cultivation, you won't be able to receive messages. However, it seems like someone's deliberately trying to make people think you're afraid of Chi Yu and don't dare to accept the challenge, Duan Ling Tian, Tang Huiyan said. Tang Huiyan advised, Duan Ling Tian, no matter what those people think, you don't have to care. Don't be affected by them. Just be yourself. Don't worry. Duan Ling Tian could tell Tang Huiyan was worried he would be affected by this matter. He could not help but feel speechless. Duan Ling Tian had walked step by step from the mundane realm to the Devata realm, and then to the realms of gods. How could he be affected by such a small matter? All right. Although Duan Ling Tian's reply was simple, Tang Huiyan could hear the indifference in his tone. She knew Duan Ling Tian was not bothered by the rumors. The Heavenly Stairway battle will begin in a month from today onward. Are you interested in going to watch the show? Or do you want to give it a try? Tang Huiyan asked. I'm going to give it a try, Duan Ling Tian replied. I hope you can do well, Tang Huiyan said. Tang Huiyan wished him well. After Duan Ling Tian thanked her, she fell silent. She didn't say whether she would go or not. However, it didn't matter to Duan Ling Tian whether Tang Huiyan would go or not. He didn't even think about it. He glanced at where the group of inner sect disciples were heading and followed them. Needless to say, they were definitely going to the Stairway to Heaven competition. This was because the Celestial Stairway competition was a grand occasion for the inner sect disciples. Many of them hoped to get a good result in the Celestial Stairway competition. Fighting for the rewards was secondary. Showing off was the most important. On the way, Duan Ling Tian's mind was filled with information. In the inner sect disciples' handbook, there was a detailed record of the Stairway to Heaven competition. The Celestial Stairway battle sounded like one had to climb up the Celestial Stairway. However, in reality, it wasn't that simple. The Stairway to Heaven competition was a test left behind by the Hidden Fog sect's ancestors. When it first appeared, it was to train the sect disciples. But later on, it gradually became a place for the inner sect disciples to compete with each other. And this sort of competition was something that the Hidden Fog sect was happy to see happen. In fact, they even actively promoted it. They prepared extraordinary rewards for every Celestial Stairway competition. In particular, the first place of every Celestial Stairway competition would receive a reward that made others green with envy. This time it was the same. In this Stairway to Heaven competition, it is said that the first place of the Divine Spirit realm will be rewarded with a nature pill. As for the first place of the Divine King realm, it is said that the first place will be rewarded with a royal calamity fruit. Along the way, Duan Ling Tian could hear the voices of the inner sect disciples, who were also traveling nearby. Of course, they were talking to their companions, and not to Duan Ling Tian. But with Duan Ling Tian's hearing, he heard everything clearly. Nature pill. Hearing this inner sect disciple's words, Duan Ling Tian was startled. He never imagined that the Hidden Fog sect would give out a nature pill to the first place of the Stairway to Heaven competition. The nature pill was a divine pill used by gods. It had no effect on those above the Divine King realm. One could become a Divine King after 9 nature pills. This was also the introduction of the nature pill in the plane of gods. No matter how lousy a higher deity's innate talent was, after taking 9 origins pills, they would still be able to become a god king with a 100% chance of becoming one. As for those with good innate talent, The Origins pill was also a great help in becoming a god king. It was said that there were heaven-defying talents that could take 9 nature pills on the day they broke through to the higher divine spirit realm, becoming a lower divine king on the same day. 2 realms in one day. And this sort of case wasn't rare in the plane of gods. Not to mention that god venerable level influences raised their juniors in this way. Even god emperor level influences would raise the proud sons of heaven with monstrous talent and perception. It was just that very few people received such treatment. For this reason, one could easily imagine the value of a nature pill to a god. The first place in the Heavenly Stairway contest will be rewarded with a nature pill, while the first place in the Divine King realm will be rewarded with a Tribulation Immunity fruit. Duan Lingtian knew about the nature pill. He had also heard of the Tribulation Immunity fruit. Unlike the nature pill, that was refined by a divine alchemist using various rare medicinal herbs, the Tribulation Immunity fruit was a divine fruit that was naturally nourished by heaven and earth. After consuming it, it had no effect on one's cultivation base. However, it could help a divine king withstand the heavenly tribulation, whether it was in the realms of gods, the Devata realms, or even the mundane realms. Those above the divine king realm would have to face the heavenly tribulation. Once one entered the divine king realm, one would have to face a heavenly tribulation every 1,000 years. Moreover, the heavenly tribulation would become stronger and stronger. If one's strength could not keep up with the heavenly tribulation, there was only one outcome for one. One would be killed by the heavenly tribulation and die. It was also precisely because existences above the God-King level had to face heavenly tribulations that kept getting stronger and stronger, that many higher deities both yearned for and feared the God-King level. It was to the extent that some people who had set their sights on becoming a God-King would develop inner demons and be unable to break through for a very long time. If one didn't break through to the Divine King realm and remained at the higher deity realm, one could still live as long as the heavens and earth. It was just that one's strength would be weaker. But once one broke through to the Divine King realm, they would embark on a path of no return. One would either have to face a heavenly tribulation every 1,000 years, or die in a heavenly tribulation every 1,000 years, completely vanishing from this world. And the Tribulation Immunity fruit was a divine fruit that could help a divine king resist a heavenly tribulation. After eating it, one could fuse with their divine power and form a barrier around them. It had a certain effect on resisting the heavenly tribulation. Of course, this was only a certain effect. It couldn't completely help a person resist the heavenly tribulation. Even so, it could still increase the chances of successfully crossing the heavenly tribulation. If one originally only had a 50% chance of crossing the heavenly tribulation, after eating the Tribulation Immunity fruit, their chances would rise to 80%. The Hidden Fog sect is truly generous. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh at the Hidden Fog sect's generosity. Was this the background of a divine emperor-level influence? Young Master Duan. Suddenly, a voice sounded out from behind Duan Lingtian. At first, because the voice was unfamiliar, Duan Lingtian didn't think it was him. It wasn't until the owner of the voice sped up and arrived in front of him that he came to a stop. You are? Duan Lingtian looked at the person in front of him. This person was a middle-aged man. He was tall and his face was firm and firm. His eyebrows were sharp, but as he looked at Duan Lingtian, there was a faint trace of fear in the depths of his eyes. Young Master Duan, my name is Chong Tiannu. I am a junior of the Chong family. The middle-aged man introduced himself. In truth, Chong Tiannu was not only a junior of the Chong family, but he was also the adopted son of the Chong family's patriarch. The bloodline of the Chong family didn't flow through his veins. He was a foster son that Patriarch Chong had adopted outside. He had been brainwashed by the Chong family since he was a child, and was loyal to them. And most importantly, when Chong Tiannu was a teenager, he had been induced by Patriarch Chong to make a heart demon blood oath to be loyal to the Chong family. He would never betray the Chong family, and would never harm the interests of the Chong family. Because of this, although Chong Tiannu was only the adopted son of the Chong family's patriarch Chong, He was highly valued by him. Because of this, Duan Lingtian had asked Chong Tiannu to give the second thing that he wanted to the second master of the Chong family. Patriarch Chong Tiannu had asked him to give it to Duan Lingtian. However, in recent months, Duan Lingtian had been in seclusion. Therefore, Chong Tiannu couldn't give it to Duan Lingtian, even if he wanted to. Today was the day that the Stairway to Heaven contest would begin. He guessed that Duan Lingtian would join in the fun. Sure enough, when he went out today, he found that Duan Lingtian had left his residence. He hurriedly chased after him and planned to give the thing to Duan Lingtian. Young Master Duan, I'm looking for you to give you the thing that my adoptive father gave you. Adoptive father? Duan Lingtian was stunned. He didn't know the relationship between Chong Tiannu and the patriarch of the Chong family. My adoptive father is the patriarch of the Chong family. Patriarch Chong, Chong Tiannu said. At the same time, he took out a spatial ring from his spatial ring and passed it to Duan Lingtian. Young Master Duan, the thing that my adoptive father gave you is in this spatial ring. Patriarch Chong was the patriarch of the Chong family. Duan Lingtian knew about this. Therefore, he calmly took the spatial ring that Chong Tiannu passed to him and dripped his blood on it in front of Chong Tiannu. With just a thought, the space in the spatial ring appeared before his eyes. The things that were stored in the spatial ring caused his breathing to stagnate. Although he was mentally prepared, everything in front of him still made his heart skip a beat. What entered his eyes was a mountain of divine stones. Apart from that, there were various rare materials that Duan Lingtian had only heard of but had never seen before. There were also divine fruits, divine herbs, and some elixir bottles. Every elixir bottle was engraved with words that explained what kind of elixir was inside. Revival elixir? Soon, Duan Lingtian saw the words Revival Elixir on one of the elixir bottles. This caused his breathing to stagnate. The Revival Elixir was the Hidden Fog sect's reward for first place in this Stairway to Heaven competition. However, the Hidden Fog sect's reward was a Revival Elixir. How many are there? Holding his breath, Duan Lingtian opened the pill bottle that contained the creation pills with just a thought. At the same time, his divine consciousness swept into the bottle and shrouded the pills stored inside. 1, 2, 3. Lingtian War Sovereign. Chapter 3673. Revival Good Fortune Pill. 9 Good Fortune Pills to Become a King. When Duan Lingtian learned that the Hidden Fog sect was giving out a Revival Good Fortune Pill as a reward for the first-place disciple in the Celestial Stairway competition, he was tempted. In fact, he was already weighing the pros and cons. After all, the current him was only a middle god. Although he was confident he could compete for first place in the Celestial Stairway competition, if he won first place with a middle god cultivation, it would undoubtedly be too high profile. In a god-emperor level force like the Hidden Fog sect, there were many God Spirit Realm inner sect disciples who had comprehended 3 profound meanings of some law. Moreover, their cultivation was at the upper God Spirit Realm. If he suppressed these people with a middle God Spirit Realm cultivation, what would others think of him? And now, the Zhong family had given him a pile of things according to his second request. In addition to a large number of God stones and other things, there was also a Revival Good Fortune Pill. Moreover, it wasn't worth 1. 5. A total of 5 Revival Good Fortune Pills lay quietly in the pill bottle. This caused Duan Lingtian to be excited for a while before he gradually calmed down. At the same time, he was no longer so obsessed with first place in this Celestial Stairway competition. It was just 1 Revival Good Fortune Pill. Now he had a total of 5 Revival Good Fortune Pills in his hands. I never thought the Zhong family would have such a background that they could take out 5 Revival Good Fortune Pills. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh inwardly. At the same time, he also felt the Zhong family's sincerity. In addition to these 5 Revival Good Fortune Pills, there were other divine pills, as well as a large pile of God stones. Although Duan Lingtian didn't count the pile of God stones, he could see at a glance that there were at least 1,000,000 God stones. A God King level family like the Zhong family. The number of God stones they have is at most 1 or 2 million God stones. I'm afraid this is almost half of the Zhong family's God stones. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. There are also revival good fortune pills. The Zhong family took out 5. Why not 1? 2. They are probably worried that I will find out in the future that they have so many revival good fortune pills, but only gave me 1. That would anger me again. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian felt relieved. At the same time, he couldn't help but sigh at the great courage of the Zhong family's patriarch. Although they had never met before, he really admired that person. Young Master Duan. At this moment, Chong Tianyu asked respectfully, my foster father said that after you've seen the things in the spatial ring, he wanted me to ask you, are you satisfied with our Chong clan's sincerity? I'm satisfied. Duan Lingtian nodded. At the same time, a shrewd light flashed across his eyes. He thought to himself, I was going to exterminate the Zhong family, but since the head of the Zhong family is so sincere, I will only kill those who tried to kill me in the past. Let go of the Zhong family completely? Duan Lingtian had never thought of such a thing. After all, some people from the Chong family wanted to kill him. Although the instigator, Chong Keki, was dead, the others who participated in or planned to kill him were still alive and well. Those people, when he had enough strength in the future, he would not let any of them off. Many thanks, young Master Duan. Hearing Duan Lingtian's reply, Chong Tianyu heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he automatically stepped aside and no longer blocked Duan Lingtian's path. When Chong Tianyu sent a message to his foster father, the Zhong family's patriarch, Duan Lingtian continued to walk towards the stairway to heaven under the gazes of many inner sect disciples. Who is he? A newcomer? I've never seen him before. To be able to make Chong Tianyu so respectful, I'm afraid this person's background is not simple. Many people looked at Duan Lingtian's back as they discussed. You don't know him? At this moment, someone who knew Duan Lingtian's identity stepped forward. Don't tell me you haven't heard that senior brother Chi Yu has been challenging a new disciple every other month? Chi Yu was one of the top 10 inner sect disciples in the spirit god realm. In the Hidden Fog Academy's inner sect, or even the entire Hidden Fog Academy, he was an influential figure. He is that Duan Lingtian from Wind City's Hidden Fog Academy? As soon as someone mentioned Chi Yu's challenge, some people immediately reacted and exclaimed in surprise. Duan Lingtian? The one who Vice Sect Master Morong recommended to enter the sect early? It is said that his strength and talent are both amazing. He is less than 3,000 years old and is already a medium god. Moreover, he has comprehended the fusion of 3 profound meanings of the law that he is proficient in. In the Hidden Fog sect, many people had heard of Duan Lingtian. Moreover, it is said that the law that he is proficient in is one of the 4 supreme laws, the law of space. If I remember correctly, there has never been a disciple under 4,000 years old who has comprehended the fusion of 3 profound meanings of any of the 4 supreme laws. This Duan Lingtian is indeed a monster. It is said that he will participate in the core disciple assessment soon. Vice Sect Master Morong has personally recommended him to become a core disciple. Even for us Hidden Fog sect inner sect disciples, not everyone has the qualifications to participate in the core disciple assessment. I never imagined that Vice Sect Master Morong would give him such an opportunity. It has to be known that Vice Sect Master Morong only has a limited number of recommendations for inner sect disciples to participate in the core disciple assessment. As for the discussions that followed, although Duan Lingtian was far away, he could still hear them clearly. Even the dean only has a limited number of recommendations for inner sect disciples to participate in the core disciple assessment. This was something that Duan Lingtian had just learned. He originally thought that in the Hidden Fog sect, any inner sect disciple could participate in the core disciple assessment as they wished. He never imagined that they would need a recommendation. We're here. Unknowingly, Duan Lingtian discovered that the person in front of him had stopped. At the same time, he also saw a somewhat illusory staircase floating in the air not too far away. At the same time, Duan Lingtian saw someone standing in front of the illusory staircase. After receiving a token from an expressionless old man, that person flew up the staircase. And in the next moment, that person was submerged in the staircase. The first step of the staircase flashed, turning into a small dot of light. Then, Duan Lingtian saw that on the third step of the staircase, a small dot of light disappeared into thin air. Then, a figure appeared in front of everyone, as if that person had come from the staircase. Haha, Hujun, you still couldn't pass the third step, and step onto the fourth step. You lost. Not too far away from Duan Lingtian, a youth laughed as he saw the person who came out. As for the latter, after passing the token to the old man, he arrived in front of the youth. With a gloomy expression, he took out a pile of divine stones and tossed them to the youth. Don't be too proud of yourself. If you can't reach the fourth step, you will still have to return these divine stones to me. Haha, I will definitely reach the fourth step. The former smiled and took a token from the old man. Then he jumped into the illusory staircase and disappeared. Instead, he was replaced by a small dot of light on the first step. At the same time, Duan Lingtian also saw that a small dot of light on the first step had jumped up to the second step. Then another small dot of light on the first step had jumped up to the second step. Are they going to enter the formation? Seeing this, Duan Lingtian secretly guessed. At the same time, he could not help but extend his divine consciousness. However, he found that it was blocked by a force and could not penetrate it at all. Duan Lingtian. Just as Duan Lingtian was puzzled, a beautiful figure quietly appeared beside Duan Lingtian and called out to him. Before Duan Lingtian could react, there was a burst of low voices around him. It's Tang Wuyan. In terms of strength, Tang Wuyan could only be ranked in the top 3 among the female inner sect disciples. However, in terms of appearance, she was recognized as the #1 beauty in the Hidden Fog sect. She was also an influential figure in the Hidden Fog sect. Her momentum was even fiercer than Duan Lingtian's, who frequently challenged Duan Lingtian when he was in seclusion. Duan Lingtian looked at Tang Wuyan and nodded with a smile. The Inner Sect Disciples Handbook only mentioned the Stairway to Heaven competition and briefly introduced it. You don't even know how the Stairway to Heaven competition was formed, right? The current Tang Wuyan seemed to know what Duan Lingtian was thinking. In fact, as soon as she arrived, she saw Duan Lingtian staring at the Heavenly Stairway competition with a puzzled expression on his face. She had the same expression on her face when she first came here. Therefore, it wasn't difficult for her to guess Duan Lingtian's thoughts. As Duan Lingtian nodded, Tang Wuyan also began to explain. On the surface, the Stairway to Heaven competition looks like an illusory array. In fact, it is indeed an array, but it isn't completely an illusory array. An illusory array is just an illusion. Inside, there are many different small planes that are separated. Every small plane is independent, and there are corresponding people who are guarding it. And these people are all inner sect disciples who have committed serious crimes and are imprisoned. Some inner sect disciples have even been imprisoned inside for hundreds of thousands of years. You have to know that it has only been less than 200,000 years since our Hidden Fog sect was established. Once you enter the Stairway to Heaven, you'll first appear in one of the small realms on the first level. The gatekeepers on the small realms on the first level have similar strength. Only by defeating them will you be able to leave the small realms on the first level and be teleported to one of the small realms on the second level. From Tang Wuyan's words, Duan Lingtian finally understood what the Stairway to Heaven competition was. It turned out that every Stairway to Heaven was an active plane prison. Inside, the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect disciples who had committed a grave mistake were imprisoned. Once they were imprisoned, they would be isolated from the world's spiritual energy. They wouldn't be able to cultivate, and they wouldn't be able to improve their comprehension of the laws. This was because there was an array formation that interfered with the comprehension of the laws. It could be said that the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect disciples, who were imprisoned inside, were living a life worse than death. The only fun they had was the Stairway to Heaven competition. Moreover, not every Hidden Fog sect's inner sect disciple, who was imprisoned inside, could be selected to fight with the other inner sect disciples, who were participating in the Stairway to Heaven competition. It all depended on luck. Chapter 3674. Being locked up in there is a fate worse than death. As Duan Lingtian sighed at the methods of the Hidden Fog sect, he couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine when he thought of the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect disciples, who were locked up in the small plains of the Stairway to Heaven. Perhaps many of the people locked up in there couldn't bear the shock and went crazy. Of course, many of the inner sect disciples locked up in there couldn't bear the boredom and chose to commit suicide. Tang Huiyan continued, if the inner sect disciples who challenged the Stairway to Heaven can't defeat the inner sect disciples locked up in there, wouldn't they be killed? Duan Lingtian asked. This kind of thing almost never happens unless the inner sect disciples are careless. You should have noticed that everyone who participates in the Stairway to Heaven will receive a token before they enter. Tang Huiyan said, and that token is the Stairway to Heaven. If you can't defeat your opponent in there, you can activate the Stairway to Heaven and be immediately teleported out. Unless you can't activate the Stairway to Heaven in time, but this is almost impossible. After all, the Stairway to Heaven is climbed one level at a time. If you can pass the first level, the inner sect disciples locked up in the next level won't be able to kill you before you activate the Stairway to Heaven. After listening to Tang Huiyan's explanation, Duan Lingtian gained a deeper understanding of the Heavenly Stairway contest. The key to the Stairway to Heaven was the Stairway to Heaven. For example, what level you reached, what level you were eliminated on, and how long you lasted on the level you were eliminated on. All of these could be reported to the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect elder, who was guarding the Stairway to Heaven. In addition, the Stairway to Heaven was also a life-saving talisman. If you couldn't defeat the inner sect disciples locked up in there during the Stairway to Heaven, you could use the Stairway to Heaven to admit defeat and leave. While Tang Huiyan was explaining to Duan Lingtian, he saw the inner sect disciple, who made a bet with the other inner sect disciple, reach the third level. At the same time, the inner sect disciple who lost the divine stone stared at the little dot of light representing the inner sect disciple, who made a bet with him. However, at that moment, most people's gazes were on Duan Lingtian. Among those gazes there was envy but even more jealousy. Tang Huiyan was the inner sect's #1 beauty. She was the dream lover of many male disciples in the Hidden Fog sect. She was usually cold and aloof, and rarely walked so close to others, much less a male inner sect disciple. Generally speaking, what's the highest level an inner sect disciple in the divine spirit realm can reach? Duan Lingtian asked Tang Huiyan. The Stairway to Heaven had a total of 19 levels. Now below the 12th level of the Stairway to Heaven, there were some small dots of light flickering. However, above the 12th floor, there were no specks of light. On the 11th floor, there was only a small dot of light flickering. During the last Stairway to Heaven competition, there were 3 Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciples who managed to ascend to the 8th level. One of them is Qiyu, the one who challenged you time and time again in the past 3 months. Tang Huiyan said, those 3 people all retreated from the 8th floor in the end. Whoever stays on the 8th floor the longest will be considered the first. Last time, although Qiyu's result was not bad, he wasn't first. He was only third. Tang Huiyan's words gave Duan Lingtian a certain understanding of the Stairway to Heaven competition. The Stairway to Heaven competition was not only targeted at the Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciples, it was also targeted at the Divine King Realm inner sect disciples. Those little light dots on the 9th floor, and above obviously corresponded to the Divine King Realm inner sect disciples. After all, the person who obtained first place in the last Stairway to Heaven competition had only managed to ascend to the 8th floor. That person basically represented the strength of the first echelon of Divine Spirit Realm inner sect disciples. After the Stairway to Heaven competition ends, the rankings will be released. At that time, the The sect will give rewards to the top 10 people in the Stairway to Heaven competition. 4 people will be rewarded to Divine Spirit Realm Inner Sect disciples, and 4 people will be rewarded to Divine King Realm Inner Sect disciples. After listening to Tang Wuyan's introduction, Duan Lingtian was eager to give it a try. Suddenly, a speck of light disappeared from the 3rd floor. Then, the young man who won a divine stone from another inner sect disciple returned his bet with an unlucky expression. I was so close to rushing to the 4th floor. Damn it, I didn't think that guy would choose to risk his life in the end. So what if he won against me? In that state, in that environment, it won't be long before he dies. This young man was obviously scolding the opponent he encountered in the Stairway to Heaven competition, a Hidden Fog Sect inner sect disciple, who was imprisoned in a small plane. Haha. If you didn't ascend, then you didn't ascend. What's with all this nonsense? There is only one chance in the Stairway to Heaven competition. Once you fail, you will have to wait for the next opportunity to step onto the Stairway to Heaven again. The inner sect disciple who took back his divine stone swept away his gloomy mood, and a smile bloomed on his face. The quarrel between the two was just a small farce before the Stairway to Heaven competition. Look, Senior Apprentice Brother Chi Yu reached the 8th floor again. Just as Duan Lingtian's attention returned to the Stairway to Heaven competition, Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. He followed the gazes of many inner sect disciples, and saw that there was another speck of light on the 8th floor. This speck of light was originally on the 7th floor. This time, Senior Apprentice Brother Chi Yu spent even less time on the 7th floor. It looks like his strength has improved by quite a bit. An inner sect disciple sighed. Chi Yu. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth couldn't help but curl up into a mocking smile. Although he had never seen that inner sect disciple called Chi Yu, he already knew that he was someone Tu Feng had sent to find trouble with him. He wasn't surprised that this person had challenged him again and again. This was because he already knew that this person had his eyes on him, because of Tu Feng. The 8th floor? Duan Lingtian glanced at the speck of light that corresponded to Chi Yu. He then leaped forward and arrived in front of the old man, standing in front of the Stairway to Heaven. Elder, I'm an inner sect disciple, Duan Lingtian. I'm an intermediate god, and I wish to participate in the Stairway to Heaven competition. Just now, every person who came before the old man would say the same thing. They would announce their name and their cultivation base. When the old man heard Duan Lingtian's words, he didn't treat him indifferently like the other inner sect disciples. He looked at Duan Lingtian in surprise. You're Duan Lingtian? From Tianfeng City's Hidden Fog Academy? Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. I've long heard of your name, but this is the first time I've met you. I hope you can achieve good results. A rare smile appeared on the old man's cold face. Then he took out a token and handed it to Duan Lingtian. This is the Stairway token. You can activate it by injecting your divine energy into it. If you want to come out, just inject your divine consciousness into it, and it will bring you out. Thank you, Elder. After thanking the old man, Duan Lingtian took the Stairway token and flew up to the 1st floor of the Stairway to Heaven. The special treatment that Duan Lingtian received attracted a lot of attention. He's Duan Lingtian? The monster from Tianfeng City's Hidden Fog Academy? I was wondering who he is to be favored by Tang Wuyan. Goddess Tang Wuyan favors him? Don't talk nonsense. That's right. Goddess Tang Wuyan has always kept a distance from him. In my opinion, they are just ordinary friends. Duan Lingtian, who had entered the 1st floor of the Stairway to Heaven, didn't hear these people's discussions. However, Tang Wuyan heard them clearly, but she didn't care. Her beautiful eyes revealed a curious light as they fell on Duan Lingtian. She didn't have a good impression of this inner sect disciple from Tianfeng City's Hidden Fog Academy at first. However, after interacting with him that day, her competitive spirit was aroused. She Tang Wuyan was the #1 beauty of the Hidden Fog sect. When had she ever been ignored by a man like this? She still remembered that day when she led the way for Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian didn't even look at her. It was as if he didn't care about her beauty. Although she didn't want to be a vase, her beauty had always been one of the sources of her confidence. However, In front of this Duan Lingtian, her confidence was shattered into pieces. Sometimes women were just so strange. She didn't care about the men who circled around her. However, the men who ignored her only aroused her curiosity. Duan Lingtian naturally didn't know what Tang Wuyan was thinking. Now, after he obtained the Stairway to Heaven token and entered the Stairway to Heaven, he arrived in an independent space. It was very similar to the space inside a storage ring. There were no lights, only darkness. Obviously, this was one of the independent small planes that imprisoned the Hidden Fog sect's inner sect disciples, who had committed great mistakes. Hua! Almost at the same moment Duan Lingtian appeared, a flame suddenly lit up in this dark space. Then, not only did the surrounding environment appear in front of Duan Lingtian, but there was also a sloppy figure. This was a small deserted valley. Outside the valley, there was only darkness. Even light couldn't illuminate the darkness. Obviously, this place was isolated by a space barrier, and no light could pass through. Has the sect's Stairway to Heaven competition started again? Under Duan Lingtian's gaze, the sloppy young man who was originally sitting cross-legged in the corner of the valley slowly stood up. Flames wrapped around his body, his divine power fused with the mysteries of the law of fire, emitting a scorching aura. Duan Lingtian responded faintly. Make your move. The sloppy young man said. You're not my match. Duan Lingtian said. When the sloppy young man appeared in front of him, he extended his divine consciousness and discovered that the other party was only an intermediate deity. Moreover, the mysteries of the law of fire that were fused with his divine power were not all at the great mastery level. You're also an intermediate deity. How would you know if you don't try? The sloppy young man asked in a hoarse voice. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Then his divine power flashed out. All the mysteries of the law of space that were at the great mastery level appeared, causing the air in the small valley to stagnate. At the same time, the small valley fell into a dead silence. After a while, the sloppy young man slowly said, I admit defeat. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.